Three, two,
Sorry,
one. Teach me grappling.
I'm a rookie, so
Yeah.
I'm not used to doing these types of
That's fine.
you
This
know.
is this is my third time, so even I'm kind of learning. So my first one was with my own coach back in India, and the second one was with an MMA fighter called Trevor Smith, if you know him. And third is you. So this is actually kind of a fanboy moment for me. So I'm just trying to keep it as professional as possible. I'm just joking.
Yeah, that's
So
okay.
so coach, like when it comes to jiu-jitsu or grappling in general, like you are the man, because like it's been almost like 3 years or 4 years since you like started the channel, and you've been having content for almost every day for all the
It's
4 years.
I started it 9 years ago,
Oh, see.
but I didn't go like you're saying. I started really. Um, I want to say 2 years. 2 years ago is when I really started it because that's when I was doing it like almost every day. But so consistent for 2 years, but I actually started it in December of 2011.
Overall it's like 9 years, but consistently from 2 years back, right? So
Yeah,
you even then it's kind of incredible because you're having new content for almost every day for 2 days. It's like 730, new concepts. And I like the way you mix all the grappling techniques, together, like, which is kind of which is effective. And you just pick things which really work for different scenarios, for different rule sets. And that is kind of really amazing because I can really feel the kind of interest and the passion that you have towards the art, because like nobody can do this, like, every day a new content and everything is exciting, and nothing reminds me of the, something else that I've already seen in your content. So that is awesome. I need to like appreciate and congratulate you for that.
thank
And
you.
also all your breakdowns like make a lot of sense, like because if Henry Gracie does that, it's obvious because his family is completely involved in that, and he's been doing since he was in his diapers. But you, like, I mean, like, your breakdowns are almost like as amazing as theirs. And I have also seen a lot of new, like, perspectives that you bring to the
Mhm.
table when it comes to breakdowns that we don't see in their Gracie breakdown. So that is really something that we need to appreciate, because like because I don't see you I don't know, I may be wrong, but when I ask my, like, when I talk to other martial artists, they are not cognizant of your efforts that much. I don't know whether you're like trying to publicize that much or not, but I need to, like, do my part to make you like famous, because
I,
you're doing some really good content, I must say.
yeah, I appreciate that. It's this subject is like hard to, it's hard to talk about yourself sometimes and say, "Hey everyone, listen to me. I know what I'm doing." Like it's hard to say that because it sounds like I'm just arrogant. You understand?
This is
And
my
like,
podcast. You can talk whatever you want about yourself.
yeah, so I try to say this as humbly as possible,
Yeah.
but I know, like when you mentioned the Gracies, like Henner and Hiron, they're incredible. You know, there's many great instructors. They're really good, but I know that I have something inside me that is different than everyone else, and also great. And much of what I do, I'm really happy to hear you say this because it's something that I've gone through my most of my life um, in the martial arts is knowing what I know, getting better all the time, and realizing that I feel like at least that I'm trying to contribute to the martial arts world something that has never been seen before. Like,
With no expectations.
yeah, yes, and it's I like I hope that people can see it in my videos like you are, that yes, I've taken things that have been taught to me from other people. Of course, I didn't make it up out of thin air, but it is an art form. It's a true art that I've created a lot of what I do teach. and I will be completely transparent and honest about where I got the techniques. Some of the, if someone has a question on where did you learn this, I'll explain. But much of my content is uniquely put together from inside here. And I can't explain where that came from like anything else. I know that I learned a piece and I learned another piece and I learned a third piece and then, but I put them together. Nobody told me to put them together in those ways. And I'm not a super famous martial artist. I know that I do have a decent following on YouTube, but still many people don't know about me. And I think the more people that find out about me, they'll understand that I have a lot to offer and so much more that you can't even see on the video. Only my students know this. So all the students that come to me, they understand what, because they see it right there in front of them. And as especially now that I'm getting older, I'm 42, so I don't even spar nearly as much. I've been training for 26 years. I don't spar as much as I used to, so more and more, or you will see less and less of me sparring. So I can't show people by kicking their ass. I have to show them through the technique, which I can do. But through video, people don't know if I'm real
Yeah.
because they have to like, you know, maybe it's just fancy bullshit because there is a lot of fancy stuff on the internet that is not real. I see it, but another person can't see it. And I know who's real.
Yeah.
I can see with my eyes right away who's real. And I can tell you who my favorites are, you know, who I legitimately really, really respect. But it's sad that so many people on YouTube in particular don't know what they're doing, have really big channels. They're not really nearly as skilled as people give them credit for. And then you have people, to be honest, like me, who know like a lot and we're doing well, but
Keeping it low key.
now, yes, but I'll say this because you mentioned Henner. Henner, Hiron, one of the best guys.
Yes.
They are incredible. So you just right there, those are two of the best guys out there.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. Like when they do it, it's obviously awesome, but it is very obvious because I mean, like that's what you expect from a guy that's been training from when he was
yeah,
hypers, right? So his family is all they do is jiu-jitsu. So though it's awesome, it's not like a very like surprising thing. But when a normal random, I mean, I won't say like a guy from a normal background does that, it shows his passion because you weren't forced to do like by your family. It's not your family tradition, but that so
right.
shows how much interested you are in this art and trying to make other people better by giving them content without any expectations. So like I mean, I just want this podcast is entirely focused on grappling, MMA, and more about you because people should respect you, and once they start respecting you, they will admire your content and they will take you more seriously, and they can, I mean, like find like be cognizant of the true value of the content that you put on. So just tell me about yourself. How did you get into this hardcore mainstream mixed martial arts and grappling in general?
Well, as a kid, I played other sports, so I wasn't brought up in any kind of martial arts. But when I turned 15, I wasn't growing tall, so I couldn't play basketball at a level that I played competitive basketball in around 13 years old, so 13, 14, but I couldn't keep up. Once I went to high school, they were just faster than me. I missed the last cut, so I didn't make the team. So I started, I switched towards wrestling
Mm-hmm.
the very next year.
Mm-hmm.
Never knew what it was, but we grew up wrestling, so, you know, with friends. My brother kicked my butt, so, you know, I'm the youngest of two other kids. I have a sister and a brother. And my brother was a better baseball player than me, and I wasn't that good at baseball. So I went to basketball, and then after not making basketball team, I went to wrestling. It just kind of happened, and I didn't like it. I liked it, like I liked learning, but I didn't like the fight. I was not a fighter.
Yeah.
Um, it felt really bad when you lost,
Mm.
and even when I won, I didn't even feel good because
You didn't like
in
it.
I'm just it was even when I won, I was like it's like a traumatic, uh, you know,
Yeah.
situation where I had feelings like, oh
Oh,
my
finally
gosh,
it got over.
yeah, I finally got it over with. And even if I got my hand raised, I was in such pain from the situation that I was like, it's not that much fun. Like I could do more fun things.
Yeah.
And so I actually I don't know how many people have that experience, but people can say I was a pussy or whatever, but like
Nah,
that's
I
how I was.
understand.
And then like little by little, you go through one season, 1 year. I tried to quit, but my coach pulled me back in. My next year I went because they told me, they said, you're going to be the best guy in the school in your weight class. So I was like, okay, I'll go so that I can be the best guy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it made
Just
me
for
feel
the
good.
result,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I did it, but I still didn't feel like I was great. And then by my third year, I was going to be the team captain of the team, but I had a teammate who was better than me, and he was good and kicked my ass every day. And so I knew I could never be like him. I could never be as good as him.
Hmm.
But I was still pretty good. So I finished. I did 3 years. I go, now I'm done. No more. I don't want to do it ever again. And I had a local college, asking me to come and be on their team. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go. And I found like jujitsu mixed martial arts, like through a girlfriend. She trained karate, taekwondo, and I met her instructor. This is right when the UFC had come out. So,
Okay.
he was getting into it, and he was only 10 years older than me. So I was like 18, 19. He was like 29.
Hmm.
And so I started learning from him, and it wasn't a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, but he had trained with the Machados, and he had a diverse martial arts background. He wrote for a lot of the martial arts magazines, Black Belt Magazine, Karate Kung Fu Illustrated,
What's his name, by
and
the way?
Inside Karate. His name was Robert Ferguson.
Okay.
So he's no longer in the martial arts world, but he just does weight loss. But he used to be a writer for the magazines,
Okay.
and he was, a martial artist that a lot of people knew of.
Hmm.
I'm not saying he was famous or anything, but people in the world of the martial arts, if they were really into it, they might know who he was. At
Okay.
the time, he got a really bad name in the late 90s because the underground forum, which was mixedmartialarts.com. I don't know if you're familiar. It was called
Uh,
the Underground. It used to be MMA.tv.
okay.
Uh, it was also called submissionfighting.com in the
Okay.
old days.
Okay. I'm
Anyway,
pretty young for
yeah,
that.
it
Like,
was one of the earliest forums. So before YouTube, before the internet really was, I mean, the internet was there, but we had these forums with very few people, maybe 1,000.
hmm.
There was like 1,000 people on mixedmartialarts.com. At the
Hmm.
time, it was submission fighting.
Okay.
And my coach would talk a lot of shit, saying
Trash
that he
talk.
could, yeah. And I didn't like to trash talk at all, but that was him.
Okay.
And because, I think he was onto something, though. He knew something. He knew that jujitsu wasn't the end all be all. He knew that we needed to make it better.
Yeah.
And so I brought in the wrestling.
Hmm.
He had that kind of wrestling mixed into the style through me,
Hmm.
and also all the other martial artists he had been exposed to.
Hmm.
We went and trained with everyone we could.
Hmm.
Jiu-jitsu, I learned a lot of my jiu-jitsu from jiu-jitsu videotapes
Yeah.
in the 90s,
Hmm.
and VHS tapes.
Hmm.
And we both kept learning, and he was obviously better than me. He was bigger than me. He could beat me, and but I could definitely contribute some wrestling technique. And it just kept going little by little. I noticed all of a sudden I went from a mediocre wrestler to every year I got better.
Okay.
And I noticed people around me not getting better. Like
Hmm.
most people, they plateau. It's like the classic blue belt, purple belt level
Yeah.
in jiu-jitsu. Most people can't break it.
Break it.
And
Yeah.
even when they get to black belt, they still only do 5 moves. And they're just really good at those 5 moves. That's
Okay.
most people.
Hmm.
And I noticed I had a gift to where I kept learning and I was stacking knowledge and I kept
Mm,
accumulating more and more
yeah.
knowledge. That's when I knew I had something because
Yeah.
it was getting easier because I could just outsmart people because I had so much information.
Yes.
And I think most people don't do jiu-jitsu or grappling well the way I do because
They don't
it's
update.
hard. It's very hard to do what I do.
Yeah.
But you need to, it helps though. You may not have everything I have, but if you can just have 25% of what I have, you'll have more than enough to play with. And I
Perfect.
think it makes me a good instructor because I can make you good at the way you want to fight, and I can give you some things that you've never seen before that will help you.
Mm-hmm.
And the next student will be completely opposite of you.
Clueless.
Yes, and they don't do what you do, but I can also offer them something. So I can show a big man game. I can show a little man game, everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
If you whatever you want to do, leg locks, you want to do chokes, neck cranks, takedowns, you want to guard pull, I can guard pull too. So it's like whatever you want to do.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I just got a new question. So you said like you outsmarted the other people because you used to learn a lot of new things and you kept updating yourself and you never stopped and you never had
Yes,
a closed mindset, which is very obvious through your videos. But sometimes people say like in the interview in the podcast with of Joe Rogan with John McCarthy, John McCarthy said like you know this is this is the example of a guy that does the basics and he gets very deep into the basics and the guy that knows a lot of new different things when he was referring to the fight between Kron Gracie and Gary Tonon. So what do you think is the better way of training martial arts or grappling, to just learn new things, keep learning new things and adding, or just having the basics and like refining them to the like to perfection?
that's a good question. I would say that it is more useful for the majority of people to just concentrate on the basics.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is more useful for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Every human being's different. Some people do. There's guys that win because they only do leg locks.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they do. But
Mm-hmm.
they're so good, you can't stop it. And like I'm not saying Craig Jones is, as an example, is because he's still new. He's still very new. Even though he's a black belt and he's very good,
Yeah.
he's still new in the sport. He hasn't been around that long.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying is, in the beginning, he could compete at the highest level by pulling guard and just using leg locks. But I'm sure as he gets better and better, he will start to learn more takedowns. You understand? And it
Yeah.
will evolve his game.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so anyway, getting back to your question, like learning the basics would be good, but let's take Craig Jones for example again. If we only showed him basics,
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't be where he is.
Exactly.
He needed to dive down deep into the rabbit hole of just practicing leg locks and going deep into the counters and the moves for him to reach the level that he reached. And
Okay.
I think that that was obviously, I don't see how anyone can argue against it. He was very successful taking his route instead of, like, if someone said, no, you should work on your takedowns. No, or Eddie Bravo, another example. Never once could Eddie Bravo take anyone down.
Yes.
But this is what gave us this great art, is that they chose to go their path into their way.
Comfort
So
zone.
I like that we can go wherever we want.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask me about what is best for the majority of students,
Mm-hmm.
it is to go with the basics
Yeah.
and try to stick to it and try to be as basically well-rounded as possible in the basics. Now, once you reach that purple belt level, it's about in jiu-jitsu, that's when I think you need to start. If you want to improve yourself or someone wants to improve themselves, they need to start finding what works for them. And again, I'll be honest, the way most people do it, it's absolutely random.
Mm-hmm.
They learn one move from one YouTube video or from their instructor, and then all of a sudden it clicks.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a knee bar. Like I have a student named, we call him knee bar
Mike. Yeah.
So I don't know why, but I taught him a knee bar years ago. And he is so good at knee bars now.
Yeah.
He's better than me at them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have him on the channel very soon.
Mm-hmm.
You see the knee bar the other night, the girls, UFC? She was
yes.
She was in a calf lock and she knee
Yeah,
barred.
I saw the thumbnail. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That knee bar Mike has been doing that for a while now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like it's like stuff like that. You'll get him in a calf lock and he'll knee bar you. And I found it so funny that we saw that in a real fight because Mike's been doing that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But Keenan Cornelius teaches a technique where he traps the foot.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same position as what we saw with the girls.
Mm-hmm.
They trap the foot in the knee bar.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught that a couple of years ago. Knee bar Mike's been doing that for a very long time. Again, it's like two independent people discovering the same thing. It's like one culture comes up with a bow and arrow, and another culture on another side of the world.
Yeah.
Yes, they independently come to the bow and arrow. Now, maybe one, they do their arrows a little bit different than the other, but it's still a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
So I find it really interesting. But what I'm getting at is, like, for Mike, he found the knee bar, and then he just went knee bar, knee bar, knee bar, knee bar, knee bar, until now he's a brown belt. He pretty much, like, can – we had a couple of brown belts come from other schools the other day. I think it was Thursday. He just destroyed those other brown belts. He destroyed them. It wasn't even close. So it makes me think, is he a black belt? But I'm not satisfied. I want Mike to know takedowns. I want him to develop his other techniques more and more and more. I want him to have threats from everywhere. He also is killing people with the lockdown and the electric chair. So now he has knee bar. He has electric chair. You know, he has more than just that. But again, for me, I think once you reach purple belt, that's when you start to gravitate towards finding things that work for you.
Yes.
And then once you find, like, you get a knee bar, you get electric chair. Just, this is Mike. And then Mike, he tells me, I can't choke people from the back control. I get their back, but I can't choke. And another person will say, how silly. You can do fancy knee bars and electric chair and all this, but when you get the back with two hooks, you can't choke someone with a rear naked choke? Like, where's your basics?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, trust me, he can choke most people. Yeah. But we're talking about, he goes with another high level, he can't finish the choke.
Yeah.
So now my responsibility is to tell him, every time you're on the back, you should finish. Every time. And I'm not saying I finish everyone, but the rear naked choke is one of my best techniques. So talk about basics. That's where I am very basic. I show fancy shit all the time. The rear naked choke is the best move in jiu-jitsu by far.
Yes.
It's the rear naked choke is incredible. So if you know what you're doing, you should finish almost everyone once you get the back.
Yeah.
And you know, that's something that I pride myself, and you know, I think Mike's gonna learn that next.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question.
No. Yeah, you almost did. But my question was, that was my question, and you did a great job of trying to answer it to the fullest extent. But what I asked you was, I'll just try to make it more clear in terms of giving you an example. So Kron Gracie said, when Gary Tonin took his back, he was like, he did some weird trick because he went to a truck and got his back. He didn't know what a truck was. So Kron Gracie said, like, he did some weird trick and he got to my back. So in
Yeah,
that case, he wasn't even
that's
exposed.
embarrassing.
Yes, but still, he took his back and choked him. So do you think just being the Hickson Gracie way or the Kron Gracie way is just enough, like doing what you are good
No,
at for at a high level without knowing the
no,
new? Okay.
no,
Mm-hmm.
not at that level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at that level, we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about two high level guys.
Mm.
He's saying it's easy to say because you ran the experiment one time.
Oh yeah.
One time, he got out of Gary Tonon's back control. He
Yes.
takes his back and he chokes him.
Mm-hmm.
But let me give you the explanation. And I know myself to be correct.
Okay.
But it's people can not believe me or believe me. It doesn't matter. But I know this to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Crone is incredible. All
Yeah.
due respect to him.
Yeah.
Gary Tonon is better.
Okay.
Gary Tonon was a young guy,
Back then.
young,
Yeah.
coming up. He was not the Gary Tonon we know today.
Yeah.
The Gary Tonon we know today would destroy Kron Gracie of that
Perfect.
time.
Perfect.
Destroy him. It would be a rear naked choke, no problem. He would have finished Kron. Kron, listen, I love Kron.
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
But for him to not know, to be as good at jiu-jitsu as he is,
Mm-hmm.
but to not know
Mm-hmm.
the ninja roll
Yeah.
that Gary Tonon put on him to get the back, to get the truck, and then to the back,
Mm-hmm.
it shows that he was not trying to evolve.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knows it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine him after that match.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it funny that he described it in that way. He did something. When was that interview?
It was. I think it was.
How long?
I think 1 year ago, where he was recollecting the.
That, see, shows his mind.
Yeah.
That's not good. Let me tell you.
No, but I think that is the entire Gracie mindset, because
Yeah.
Hickson Gracie in the podcast with Joe Rogan, he said like, "What is the DARS?" He just asked him because Hickson is believed to be the god of grappling, and he should
Yeah.
have been updated. But Joe Rogan was kind of taken aback, and he was like, "Okay," he was explaining, "Okay, this is how you do like from the half guard." He was like, I mean, like, you don't know what it does?" He was like, "No." And then when he was talking about like Eddie Bravo asked the question, like, you pull guard, and like what kind of guard do you use? Because like, when they punch, you had to open your guard, and he can just stand back up like how Alistair Overeem did against Fabricio Verdum. You can just keep standing back up. So what do you do? And Hickson said like, you just get back up and pull guard again. And he was like, he was shocked by that answer. So I think that's how the entire, I mean, like, like everybody respects the Gracie clan. Like, we are here talking because of what they did. But I think that is the Gracie mindset. So I think like how you said about, like what you said about Kron versus Gary Tonon today, I think that's going to be the case with like, if you do a time travel experiment and like pick the Hickson Gracie of the best of his peak prime, and Gordon Ryan of his prime, and I think that's going to be the result. So
Yeah.
if Hickson doesn't update.
Yeah.
Right?
Here's what I think. I think you're right 100%. And if Hickson Gracie was younger, was
In his
19,
best
20
shape.
years old, if he was 20 years old, and if the information of the DARS or the ninja roll or the rubber guard came from his father,
He would have
he
done
would
it.
accept it.
Yeah.
But it becomes like a dogma. Like, it has to come from
Yes.
my master, my family, and this is the thing. We all get old, and we get set in our ways.
Yes.
Commonly said I'm sure you understand this.
I
We
completely
say in
understand.
America, we say you can't teach an old dog
Old or new tricks. Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So they get set in their ways, and that's it. It's always easier when they're young. So I
Actually, I'm
think
talking from America. Like, I'm talking from
yeah,
Ohio.
I think Hickson has hit that point.
Yeah.
I think because of who Hickson is,
Yeah.
Crone, although he's young, he's riding on the coattails of his father.
Yeah.
He's a very good himself.
Yeah.
Well, he's got that stigma. He is the son of the god of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly.
But look at Henner. Henner is not like that. Henner knows the ninja roll, the rubber guard, the DARs. He knows all of them, and he is very progressive at advancing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he knows everything, and he is like very aware of what's going on, unlike Kron. But even then, he doesn't accept those techniques as the most efficient. He doesn't recognize them as the most effective ones, because in the breakdown of Holler Gracie versus Eddie Bravo, he said like, I mean, that is good, but if it was a street fight, like, Holler would have punched him in the face. He cannot do that. So he's
Yeah,
still in
then
the
he's
closed
doing.
mindset.
Yeah, so he has some of it, but he's doing better.
Yeah, he's doing
He
better
has
than the
some
other
of it.
Gracies. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with that comment, that's just pride,
Right.
and trying to spin it. But I guarantee you, and I see it in Henner's movements when he teaches, he's evolving. He himself, all the time, they are showing newer things.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it, they are developing themselves, him and his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Others, I guarantee you, they are learning it from someone else, and then it goes into their game.
Taking a page
And
from Eddie Bravo, like, and
yeah, and then it happens. But I will say for all the Gracies, he is the most progressive.
yeah,
So
because he has to keep up with the rest of the world, because he's
yeah,
making it such a huge business, and if he doesn't update, his business is gonna perish. So obviously he has
but
to be.
I compliment his personality. The way
Yeah.
is from his father. His
Oh yeah.
father is very strict and dogmatic, but out of all the Gracies of that generation, Horian was the most intelligent.
In terms of
He
business.
was the smartest. He was the
Smart.
best teacher.
Yeah.
He was the best teacher of all of them.
Yeah.
And because he could teach so well, he passed that on to Henner. Henner's got what his father had. And he's even better.
Yeah.
He's a better teacher. It's almost like a young Horian Gracie mixed in with just it's more fun
Yeah.
than Horian.
Yeah.
And again, he's young. Will he get old and get set in his ways?
We don't
I
know.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he will, but I tell myself constantly in my head, my goal is to never become old in the mind, right?
Yes.
Like, I know
Yes.
my body is going to get old.
Yeah.
I may not be able to do certain techniques, but I don't want to not. I don't want to be against them just because it's not from my era,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
it's
I understand.
different about jiu-jitsu. I'm still learning things.
Yeah.
I'm still trying new things all the time and developing.
I mean, trust me, that's what gives us pleasure as martial artists. If you become like Hickson and you know everything, then the goal of your life itself is over, and you feel like you want to die. As long
Yeah.
as you keep learning new things, life becomes exciting. And when you have the open mindset and you are in the student mindset,
Yeah.
that is the most interesting thing in when you're like a real martial artist that tries to learn. So
Yes.
so speaking of your academy, so you give people belts based on their jiu-jitsu techniques, or it's Brian Peterson's grappling?
Right. It's more like Brian Peterson's grappling. I mean, I personally believe that I've always said it. I say this a lot, so you've probably heard this on a different video. I don't like. We train jiu-jitsu. What I do, I call jiu-jitsu. But nobody teaches Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu is bullshit. It doesn't exist. It's a made-up term.
Yeah.
What you are really learning, do you train BJJ? Or what do you consider what you do?
I train under Carlson Gracie. I mean, in the academy of Carlson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So
Right.
It's everything.
So like people will say, what style of jiu-jitsu do you do?
Yeah.
And you'll say, I train Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Or you could say Carlson Gracie jiu-jitsu. It's more accurate to say Carlson Gracie jiu-jitsu. But wait a minute. Do you train with Carlson Gracie?
Yeah.
Who do you train with?
His black belt, Aaron Thompson.
So you train Aaron Thompson jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say. You don't. Everyone's individual.
Yeah.
I may look what most jiu-jitsu schools resemble Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's what we kind of do. Now, people will look at my jiu-jitsu and they'll say, yours is like a hybrid. It's like Brazilian jiu-jitsu with some hybrid wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, okay, if you want to say that, that's okay. I don't take offense.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say it's better Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But that's what everyone thinks
Yeah.
because of their own. If they didn't think what they did was good, they wouldn't teach it that way. They would change it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all just doing the best we can with what we have.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what I'm getting at is it's always ours. Now, some people say, do you give belts for nogi? And I say, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You go,
you do for nogi. Yeah.
right. But they go, but you can't do that. They don't train in the gi.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, so you think that I give a blue belt, but the guy only trains no-gi. So he's only a blue belt when he's no-gi. And they go, yes. But if you put a gi on, he's no longer a blue belt because he hasn't trained in the gi. And I go, okay, you say that. I accept it. So that means you're a blue belt, right? And they go, yes, I'm a blue belt with Gracie Baja.
Mm-hmm.
I go, okay, so you're a blue belt for 2 hours during your class. When you take the gi off, you are no longer a blue belt. So my blue belt is a blue belt for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because he never wears the gi.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're only a blue belt when you wear a jacket.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You're saying you only have a blue belt when you wear the jacket? Now let me tell you what I really believe.
Mm-hmm.
My blue belts,
Mm-hmm.
no gi.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a gi on them,
Yeah.
they are still blue belt
Mm-hmm.
when they fight in the gi.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I have to do with my students. I have to make them so good that even when I put a jacket on them, someone will come in. I'm not going to lie. This is the truth. From another, they can go gi with another blue belt, their level, everything the same. They might get choked out once, maybe twice, 1, 2 adjustments, and then now it's completely the other way. In other words,
but they take the jacket off.
Yeah, it's even with the jacket on, it's a few adjustments.
Exactly.
Many people don't believe this.
Exactly. If you can fight no gi, I think you can like fight with gi as well, because like that is the base. You're gonna catch all of the same arm, same neck. It doesn't matter if you have a gi on. But I mean, as you said, it's just a few adjustments different. But still, I think it's better to do no gi, because like, what are the odds of you facing a guy with a full sleeve shirt and a jacket?
Yes.
And then if you just know no gi, you can still choke him.
Yes, but also, another argument I never hear anyone make, which I use, is on the gi versus no gi argument, is when 2 guys get in a fight. Let's say they have regular clothes.
Yeah.
One has a t-shirt, the other one has a jacket, right? They get in the fight. So someone says, oh, the guy who has a jacket, you can grab onto the jacket and hold onto it and do jiu-jitsu, just like you would with a gi.
Yes.
They say with a t-shirt, you can, as you know, bunch the t-shirt up and make a choke with a t-shirt. True. What people don't understand is when you're training in the gi, both of you are agreeing, to a certain degree, you're agreeing that you are not going to take the gis off. Yes. So they wear gis and they never take them off.
What if it gets ripped?
What if it gets ripped? Or what if, people don't understand, if I take a guy down, a black belt world champion, and all he wants to do is grab my collar, the first thing I'm going to do is take my jacket off. I'm going to slip it off. He would have to choke me before, which is not going to happen to me. It only takes me one moment, one stand up, and I will pull myself out of my own jacket.
Yeah.
But in the gi, people never attempt that. They don't understand how easy it is.
Yeah.
if someone grabs a collar of a sweatshirt
Mhm,
or a jacket
mhm.
and you started to pull away, you could take your jacket off. I'm not saying it's always easy,
Yeah,
but try it next time you do gi.
yeah.
Say, hey, we're gonna grapple gi,
Mhm,
but I'm gonna attempt to
mhm,
take my jacket off, and I
mhm.
want you to try to keep my jacket on so you can choke me with it.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as people think it is when you're trying to fight out of it.
Mhm. But one question, even the academies that teach with the gi also do no gi, right? Even in my academy, they do, because I don't get a belt because I do only no gi. But still, people do gi as well as no gi. So if I don't think any academy that teaches only gi, I mean that would be kind of bullshit, because it's very impractical. Only if people are just wanting to be trained for gi competitions, maybe that makes sense. But if they are trying to train overall jiu-jitsu, they have to do both gi and no gi, because I have seen Hickson rolling with Hoyler with no gi. So
Yeah,
yeah, so I think it should be both. So I think what you do is a very great thing, because I see you teaching people with gi and no gi, and a mix of like wrestling, sambo, catch wrestling, pancration, and your own,
yeah,
so which makes them an overall grappler. Because I see a lot of people, jiu-jitsu people, having problems with non jiu-jitsu grapplers. For example, like if you take the case of Dean Lister and Josh Barnett, the rights that Josh Barnett did, the catching rights, Dean Lister wasn't. I mean, of course, there was a 60-pound weight difference, but still, the levels they are at, it shouldn't make a difference. And Josh Barnett was winning every move that he was making. And also, even Hicks and Gracie had a very hard time with Mark Schultz, because Mark Schultz back then was just a wrestler who had no idea about any submissions, but he was
right.
kicking Hickson ass. He was putting him in a cradle for 20 minutes, and Hickson had no clue of what's going on. And Hickson is like the red belt
Yeah.
in terms of his
Just
technique.
imagine if Schultz could throw knees to his face.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. With a cradle,
Cradle.
you can
Bam,
throw
bam,
knees to
bam.
the face.
Yeah,
Yeah. It would be
yeah.
bad.
And Hickson being the advocate of like the street fight jiu-jitsu, that was a bad spot for him. Really
Yeah. Yeah.
honest. Like,
It's it's just the way it went. It's not. I'm not trying to say that Hickson wasn't great. He was amazing,
it's amazing.
but he's amazing. But the way it fell, he dodged bullets.
Yes,
He was at a time when a lot of people weren't that good.
yes.
He fought in Japan. Most of his opponents were really terrible. And
What is
I'm not
tomato
saying he's
can?
not good.
Yeah,
He's very good.
yeah.
But
I
there's
think
no,
except for Funaki, everybody was like crap.
yes, yeah. And he struggled.
So
He even struggled in that fight.
I think
He
there
could have
was,
lost that fight.
yeah.
He
I think
could
I
have
made a
lost.
comment which created a little bit of like heated arguments, like under your like the Scorpion, the lockdown, Eddie Bravo lockdown, because I said Hickson struggled to get out of the lockdown when Yoshinoro Nishi did that to him in an MMA fight, and he had to just punch his way through, and he didn't know how to get out of that technically.
Yeah,
Jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, he didn't know how.
right.
Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
saying. He had a hard time.
There's so much to learn, but I mean, this is when I argue against catch wrestling, which I do from time to time. When I argue against catch wrestling, it mostly comes from the point that I really believe that at the root, I think that jujitsu is better. I think I think jujitsu comprises roughly 55 to 60% of my grappling,
Grappling.
which is at least half of it.
Yes.
It's at least half.
Hmm.
So the other half is wrestling, sambo, catch,
Pancake.
like all these little, different stuff. But the majority of what I do is jujitsu. That's why I argue against catch, because I think that I think that what Hickson does, and I think it's proven, what the Gracies have done
Hmm.
is overwhelmingly amazing. It's the best for the basics,
Yeah.
for on its like that. But that doesn't mean we should stop evolving and stop learning. We just take that and then we put all the great things from catch wrestling and sambo and wrestling and mix it in. That's what I've been doing all these years with my wrestling, was taking all the best of wrestling and then moving it into jiu-jitsu and making jiu-jitsu better with wrestling. Now, obviously, jiu-jitsu tends to get the credit. Everyone wants to tell me all the time that it's wrestling. Okay, then call it wrestling. But I call what I do one martial art. I call it jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
but it truly is. It's Brian Peterson jiu-jitsu,
Brian
and
Peterson's
it's
grappling.
a collection of a lot of things.
It's
And when
Brian
I teach,
Peterson's system. That's it.
yeah, and if I was teaching you, it would be Varun jiu-jitsu, which is kind of like Brian Peterson jiu-jitsu, but it has the best of Varun on top of it. So there's nothing wrong with that.
So, I mean, one of the reasons I value your content so much is because you are one of the people that doesn't try to stop at one particular thing. You're like the Bruce Lee who tries to like pick like the effective things that really work from every martial art and try to make it your, I mean, add it to your repertoire. So, speaking of which, I just want to know like how much is your content battle tested, because I see a lot of different things and I'm like, why are these other guys not taking notes of it? It seems to be really legit. I'm not a black belt.
Mhm.
I'm a martial arts enthusiast. I know much better than the others. Like, I'm just trying to be as humble as you, but I can at
Yeah.
least sense what is good shit and what is bad. But what, by
Mhm.
seeing your thing, you have a great deep understanding of what you do. Because I respect innovators like Eddie Bravo, but even then they they have their own system and they don't incorporate other things. He just innovated something and he's into his own thing. But people like you take the best from everything and
Yeah.
make a very good blend, which is, I mean, you make a guy ready for wherever he is in a fight. Like, even if he gets put in a rubber guard, if he's put in a knee bar,
Yeah.
whatever, you just try to make him overall the best.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I respect your content so much.
Yeah. Like, let me say on this, like Eddie Bravo. Okay, he and I are almost like in the grappling world. We're almost completely opposite ends.
Yeah.
Okay, he will pull guard every time. The way he grapple, the rubber guard, I don't do at all.
Hmm.
Okay, now that's the one thing. Now my reasoning has more to do with the limitations of my flexibility. Now, sure, I could have worked on that when I was younger
Hmm.
and got more flexible, but I chose a different route. Instead of relying on flexibility, I chose to work on hip movement, getting on my side to make omoplatas work.
Hmm.
He, Eddie Bravo and I both do omoplatas like crazy.
Yeah.
He will do them, I will do them.
Hmm.
I He and I will both agree that the omoplata is one of the best moves of jiu-jitsu. We'll agree.
Yeah.
But our way of arriving at an omoplata
It's
is
different.
completely different.
Yeah.
His idea of getting to the omoplata is to use flexibility with his leg.
Yes.
I get to my omoplatas through a pinch of my elbow and getting on my side.
Yeah.
So, like, this is just one example, but what I'm trying to say is we're completely different in the way we view a lot of things.
Hmm.
But I will say this: I know that Eddie Bravo stuff is incredible. It works. I
Yes.
use some of it in my game, but other stuff I don't use. But what I'm saying is his stuff is totally battle tested. One thing that I will say though is at the high levels, you have to be so good to pull off what he does. You have to be Eddie Bravo himself or one of his top level black belts to do it.
Like Jeremy
And,
Vance.
right, exactly. So you know your shit. So so Vance knows it so well that he can really be the guy who brings the technique and solidifies the name 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. You cannot look at Eddie Bravo's other guys that aren't as good and say, rubber guard's shit. Most of the time, rubber guard is shit. Like, most of the time,
Yeah.
it is. But listen, he's out there in the spotlight. He's got a lot of schools. He's got a lot of students. They do these advanced tournaments, and so it's being scrutinized by everyone. You, me, and everyone can scrutinize Eddie Bravo's technique
Yeah.
by looking at the fruits of his labor, at his students.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have that because I don't have that many students.
Yeah.
So I would love for you, I would absolutely love to have as many 10th Planet schools as Eddie Bravo has. That way I can show off my stuff. The sad part is most of my students are not great athletes. They are regular people. They are not like, that's the other thing. When you see these guys from Autos or, 10th Planet or the best guys from any school, Marcelo Garcia, Renzo Gracie, John Danaher, you got to understand, these guys weren't all brought up in that academy. Many of them flocked to Marcelo Garcia's because he was the best.
Yeah.
So when they
you
show
mean to
up,
say they learned their shit somewhere else and they
yes,
want to be at the highest level, so they just flocked into, they were not like I mean bred there. They were like moved to that place to become the top of the heap, right?
yes,
That's what you meant to say.
yes. Keenan Cornelius for a while, it was like Autos, right?
Yeah.
But he's from Lloyd Irvin's. So if anything, as much as we could always talk about how we don't like Lloyd Irvin for other reasons, right?
Yeah.
But Lloyd Irvin should be credited big time with Ryan Hall and Keenan Cornelius, which he is.
Yeah.
For people that know, he's the one that deserves the credit as the coach. Now that's two guys. That's not bad. That's amazing.
But do you think like it is the same with Fabio Jurgel in terms of like making Marcelo Garcia great, or do you think Marcelo Garcia would have been great no matter where he trained?
Marcelo's not from Fabio Jurgel.
Yeah, I mean like he trained somewhere else. Yeah.
He came from a different instructor, then went to Fabio.
Fabio.
So yes, Marcelo was already Marcelo.
Yeah.
He was already Marcelo. Fabio made him better.
Yes.
So I'm not trying to take anything away, but here's my point. I want to see, if you want to judge someone's technique level as a coach, how good they can make you, you need to to really determine it. First of all, nobody flocks to your school from other academies and they come in as purple belts.
Yeah.
I want to see a guy take a white belt or a blue belt. Let's cut off right there.
Yes.
And then turn a white belt or a blue belt on your own into a black belt.
Exactly.
And make him a black belt world champion, or make him high level. Let's just say, which means he's a black belt and he's able to compete. Maybe he can't win the worlds, but he can compete at a high level.
But I don't like a legit black belt.
Right. He's a legit black belt. And we want to see multiple guys do that didn't flock to you, but you make multiple guys like that. And there's many instructors like that too. They can do that. But that's the true test.
So on that note, like which academy do you think is the best in trying to create people like for jiu-jitsu, like anything that you know of? We're not talking about Brian Peterson as of now,
right?
Except
you're probably gonna have me pick my favorite people, my favorite jiu-jitsu instructors.
Okay.
I would say, you know what? I got it. Marcelo Garcia. I don't know. I've never trained with him. I've met him, but I haven't trained with him. But from what I've seen from first of all, he is one of the best guys in the world. I think that's an easy statement. It's not controversial. When I see him teach, I think he's still evolving.
Yes.
So I think he's got to be one of the best instructors. There could be some language barriers, but I think he may not be able to always communicate certain things that he does.
Yes.
Maybe he's not good at doing that,
Mhm.
but from what I've seen, he's not just a world champion who just sits on his world champion throne and doesn't. I think he's still changing all the time.
Yes.
So I think he could probably make plenty of students amazing. Ryan Hall is amazingly
Amazing.
smart,
Amazing. Smart.
and I think Ryan Hall has got to be one of the best instructors. John Danaher, I believe, has proven himself as a teacher. I think even though I think he partly gets a lot of credit because all these people come from elsewhere, I still think he's got to be a great instructor that can make people amazing through technique. I like Silver Fox,
Parents.
Pravik.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like him. I like uh, help me out. He always brings Silver Fox my brain. Uh,
Um,
Canada, Montreal.
Firas
Coach
Sahabi.
Faraz Zahabi.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot Faraz, his name.
Yeah.
But
He's gonna get
yeah,
mad at you.
yeah, he's amazing.
He's
I think he's one of the best.
smart.
He is. All right, I just found it. Faraz Zahabi is my pick for the greatest martial arts instructor in
Yeah.
the world.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Faraz Zahabi is my pick for the greatest martial arts instructor. Most well-rounded. He can make you the best martial artist you can be.
Yeah.
Faraz Zahabi, without a doubt, he's the nobody has that title. I don't have it.
Mhm.
I think sometimes I can compliment a lot of things that he does, but Faraz Zahabi is a great kickboxer.
Mhm.
He can wrestle.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a really good wrestler, but I've seen he moves really, really well.
Mhm.
That's his weakest point is his wrestling. But he's got great high-level jiu-jitsu. He
Yeah.
has the wrestling, and he's a great kickboxer. I don't even know if a lot of people even knew that he was a good kickboxer.
Yeah. He was a Muay Thai champion in Canada.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
He was good. A friend of mine actually fought him, and I think my friend beat him. But he told me, he goes, no, that guy's completely legit. So I had a friend from a Benny the Jet champion,
Mhm.
and they were the same around the same era.
Mhm.
And I had before Faraz Zahabi was Faraz Zahabi, we had a poster in our gym with Faraz Zahabi's face on it,
Okay.
and it's him, kickboxer, not mixed martial artist,
Mhm.
not mixed martial arts coach.
Just kickboxer.
Yeah, kickboxer, and it was Faraz Zahabi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that in my gym. So
Mhm.
when I first even heard of Faraz Zahabi, I already knew him as a kickboxer guy. Then he comes out, he's a great jiu-jitsu guy. Now he knows how to wrestle too.
Mhm.
Faraz Zahabi's the
Badass
best.
combination. Yeah.
He's the best. He's the best. Faraz Zahabi.
Yeah. 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 We all agree. There is no disagreement.
I've never said that to anyone,
Yeah.
but I just realized it. He is the most well-rounded.
But you know what? I think there was
What do you
a
think?
video of Firas Zahabi doing high-level training with Silver Fox, and you commented like, "Thank you, coaches."
Oh,
So I
yeah.
know that you value their content as much as we do with.
Me and Silver Fox are similar. In the way if you watch all of Silver Fox's guillotine and omoplata,
Mhm.
he and I are very similar.
Mhm.
I was amazed. Remember what I said about independent, like bow and arrow?
Yes.
I was amazed. I I feel like I have never seen anyone
Mhm.
teach the omoplata the way I do until I saw Silver Fox, and I know he didn't steal my shit,
Mhm.
and I didn't steal his.
Mhm.
I know it's not like he was looking at my channel back in 2013 or 12, but when I saw him teaching his omoplata stuff, I immediately went, oh my God, he's doing the same thing I do. Like almost identical.
Yeah.
He and I agree on so much. So I instantly became a fan of his
Mhm.
because I know that he thinks the way I do. He on the mat. And when I say think, I really mean feel.
Feel.
He feels what I feel.
What do you feel?
When I feel the grips, I feel it. Like that's a big part of it. It's not because jiu-jitsu is evolving. In the 90s, when
How is
Pravik and I were both learning, we didn't learn. It's not like one of us got advanced jiu-jitsu and the other one didn't.
mm-hmm.
He got the same jiu-jitsu I got.
Mm-hmm.
We all did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was out, trust me, just even though there was no YouTube, I was seeking information as much as possible.
BHS.
So I found the best that was out there, just like he did. But at some point, he and I both felt that every omoplata should be done with a pinch of the elbow, with a not gripping. We don't grip the arm.
I know.
We pinch our elbows.
I
And like,
think you demonstrated that with Megan, where you kind of pinch the elbow with the knees, and that's
yeah,
how you do. That's how it's your style.
yeah. Okay, now let me also, I got to give some credit now because I just remembered.
Yeah.
I got the knee pinch
Okay.
from Cobrinha.
Cobrinha. Okay.
So in Cobrinha came out in 2006. Most people didn't know him back then,
Mm-hmm.
but in 2006 he was already amazing at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and he came out with a video series. I've never seen anyone. I've never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
Like no, it could be on YouTube, but I doubt it. Like nobody's ever bootlegged it that I know of on YouTube.
Okay.
Because I'm in the martial arts world, and you know, I was like one of John McCarthy's best friends, and
I know
you
that.
know,
I think you were a
I'm kind
teacher
of,
over there too. You
yeah,
taught John McCarthy's.
right. So I was kind of like in, how do you say, like, you know, like, you know, more people, you're privy to more information.
Yeah.
So I knew I got somebody to give me this bootleg copy of Cobrinha when he was young, coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and it showed the omoplata in a totally different way with a knee pinch,
Mm-hmm.
and instantly it changed my omoplatas, and then I became an omoplata guy. That became my best move for a couple years. It was the omoplata, and everything was how to beat people with omoplatas. That's all I ever cared about.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so Cobrinha started my omoplata journey, because when I learned omoplata in the 90s,
There's nothing like that.
it was nothing like that, and I honestly, I threw the move in the trash. I said, this move only sweeps people. It's not a good submission killer. It doesn't submit people. And then when I saw Cobrinha, I started to advance, and I realized that because most people believe what I just said. They believe that the omoplata is a sweep and not a killer. It doesn't submit people.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't explore the omoplata to higher levels. It takes a lot of deep understanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's like rubber guard. It's almost like rubber guard itself.
Yeah.
If you just dabble in the rubber guard, you're not gonna be good.
Yeah.
You have to be a 10th planet.
Explore that at the high levels. Yeah.
Yes. But once you are, like, he has some guys. What's that guy with the Hindulo team? And he's got a
mustache. He's got a mustache.
Yeah. Yes. Like, that guy is really, really, Ben Eddy.
Something like that. I think so. Ben Eddy. I think it's Ben Eddy.
Ben Eddy, like, so as much as I will tell people, don't use the rubber guard because it's a waste of time,
Mm-hmm.
I will say that at times.
Mm-hmm.
If you are flexible like Ben Eddy,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a means to learn it,
Mm-hmm.
learn it, because that guy is scary.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, I get the average student, he doesn't have the flexibility.
Yeah.
Quit wasting your time.
Yeah.
I go, unless you're going to go do yoga every single day of your life.
Yeah.
And you want to, but what the problem is, you're going to invest 5 years on rubber guard,
Mm-hmm.
when you could have invested the 5 years on all of my shit,
Mm-hmm.
and you would be just as good, if not better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's in the best way. I'm trying to be respectful, because I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying you could spend your time in other areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
because a lot of stuff that he does, I think it needs a lot of understanding, and you have to develop that kind of a guard system for yourself. It isn't, I mean, you cannot just pick some stuff from the rubber guard and like try to implement in your game. You have to have the rubber guard mindset in itself.
mm-hmm.
So when you talked about Marcelo Garcia, do you really think he's trying to be innovative and open-minded, because he doesn't believe in the Kimura, he doesn't believe in any arm in chokes, he doesn't believe in leg locks. But the irony is he leg locked Rico Rodriguez when nothing
Yeah,
worked.
he still knows heel hooks. But okay, let me say this about Marcelo.
Yeah.
He, remember, it's all art. And it's like, what do you want to do with your art training? Do you want to paint? Do you want to sculpt? Do you want to, like, there's so many forms of art. So you can go in any direction you want to go. He chooses his direction. He won't do a whole lot of Kimuras other than the grip.
And he
just
doesn't
for
teach also.
What's that?
He doesn't teach them also, even to his students.
Yes. Yeah, but I'm sure that here's the thing about Marcelo. What he does do, it's good that he's doing that, because if he was doing Kimuras, he would be teaching us Kimuras. So what do we get instead of Kimuras? We get brilliant Marcelo Garcia advancement. We get the high elbow guillotine, and we get these sweeps and these angles that like nobody else has ever shown us. It's really amazing to watch him move, because the crucifix. Let me just
the north south.
Yes, north south choke, guillotine, crucifix.
He revolutionized.
Butterfly sweep. X guard. People say single leg X to call it another move. The stiff arm where you sit up and push guard recovery into many different scrambles and sweeps.
And the pinch armbar, the one that he does, like, you know.
Yes. The inverted armbar, Urigatami. Then you have also the very good with the omoplata, but also the I'm about to get it.
This rear naked choke, this palm to palm rear naked choke.
Yeah. Oh, seatbelt, the back control, all of his finishing abilities from back control. The arm drag.
Yeah.
Again, the arm drag was already there, but I gotta give him credit.
Right.
He showed the jiu-jitsu world how badass an arm drag really is.
He can do that while he's being seated. That's what he did against Vitor Shaolin Ribeiro. That's how he got his back.
Yes.
He just,
yes.
Like, you know.
Yes, and everyone nowadays does the same stuff because of him.
Yes.
But there was one more thing that he should get credit for. He deserves credit for man. There was one more thing. I had it on the tip of my tongue, and then
south.
Yeah.
Crucifix.
I'll get it in a second if I keep thinking.
What position?
I don't remember. Once I get it, I just got to keep playing through my mind of the things he does.
Coach, 1 second. I need to plug in my charger. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Laptop is going to die. Just 1 second. Just hold on and keep thinking.
Yeah.
1 second.
Give me time.
Yep.
Okay, I got it. It was the mano plata. You know what the mano plata is?
No.
Mano plata. That's Marcelo Garcia.
His version of omoplata.
Yes, his finish for the omoplata goes to mano plata. That, again, very unique. That's his thing. Now, maybe there was a guy before doing it at one point, but he's the one that made it big. I never saw it before Marcelo Garcia. You know, he's incredibly his ingenuity it's there. He's a genius on the mat, but it's just that I would suggest to him that he shouldn't discard leg locks or Kimuras.
But
But
at least he should teach them to his students, right? Because if somebody grows in his academy, they would not be aware of the Kimura, which
yeah,
is like
but
a staple
is it
move.
really true though? I'm skeptical. I hear that he doesn't teach it, but his
Doesn't teach
students
arm
have to know
triangles.
what it is.
I think they know it by themselves because they are into mainstream jiu-jitsu. I think they have learned it
Yeah,
by themselves.
you
But I
have
think
to know
Maslow
it.
is gonna be mad if he gets to know that they are training Kimuras because he's very strict about that.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I believe.
I have heard that he's very he's still Brazilian,
Proceed.
which means he still gets very angry if you don't do what he says.
Yeah,
But but Jacare Kimura him,
yeah.
he shouldn't hate on it too much.
That's why he
So,
got Darst, he got Kimura, and and
yeah,
even Braulio Estima's rear naked choke. It was an arming rear naked choke, if you
yeah,
see, because he
yeah,
doesn't train arm in chokes defense. He doesn't train Kimura. He
yeah.
that is, I mean, like I'm nobody to like advise Marcelo, but he should
Right.
be, you know,
I can understand his point. Here's his point where it comes from.
it's a strong man.
Uh, yeah, like he thinks strong man, so I'm not going to touch it. When I was coming up, I was taught the rule, which doesn't, you won't hear this rule anymore, but this was taught in the 90s a lot in schools. Almost every jujitsu school, your instructor would get pissed off if you ever tapped when you had guard of any type. So think of like this. If someone's in your guard and they guillotine you, they're in your guard. Should you
Okay.
tap?
But I don't think they would get optimum pressure for tapping you when they are in your guard, right? They should
Right,
not be able to do that.
right. But sometimes big guys are strong and they will
Uh,
squeeze you and hurt
if
your
you
neck.
have to tap, you have to tap.
Right. So the point is, don't tap to that. He's in your guard. Escape. You have guard. He has no leverage. Right? The argument.
Mm-hmm,
Next, you're in bottom half guard.
mm-hmm,
Opponent goes for Americana.
mm-hmm.
You go, you tap.
Your instructor is gonna get pissed.
He gets pissed.
Okay.
Why'd you tap? You can lock your hands.
Mm-hmm,
You can defend. He should not have leverage.
mm-hmm.
I agree. He
Yeah.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
But what it does is it creates a rule.
Mm-hmm. That you
You
should not
never
tap.
tap. You never tap when a guy doesn't have a good position to tap you from. So taps should only come from guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're in the guard, you could get tapped. Your guard got passed from side control. You're mounted, or he's on your back. That's it. So then what happens is someone ends up in your butterfly guard, and then they end up jumping over your butterfly. They grab a Kimura, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hang on to a half guard. This is modern day.
Mm-hmm.
The guy forces the Kimura
Mm-hmm.
up your back.
Mm-hmm.
You realize you have to let go of the half guard and roll
Mm-hmm.
because it's the only way.
Mm-hmm.
Then you immediately roll and you're arm barred or you're tapped and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And your coach comes over, the old school coach goes, I can't believe you got Kimura while he was in your butterfly guard.
Butterfly.
See, in the old days, the jiu-jitsu was so simple.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in the guard, you
Mhm.
pass the guard.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go for submission.
Mm-hmm. That's how
The submission.
John Danaher says the 4 steps.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
And that still is your basics. But nowadays, especially with EBI and submission-only tournaments, they have shown people that submissions can come from anywhere sometimes.
Any angles. Marcelo
many-
Garcia like guillotine Demian Maia without a guard. Have you seen the video
Yeah.
where they roll? He just
I've
catches
seen it.
people without a guard. Without a guard.
Yes, exactly.
And he's
Exactly.
in side control, like almost he had a
Yes.
one flu and he tapped.
Yes, yes. So another, by the way, you just mentioned, I know we said guillotine earlier. That's a Marcelo Garcia gift.
Yes. I
Like
think
a
he's
beautiful-
extremely strong with his grip strength. I think
Yeah, he is.
can crush your teeth.
Marcelo Garcia is very technical, but he is a gorilla.
Gorilla, yeah, gorilla.
He is super strong.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about how technical he is. I'm like, I saw this man. I was at Abu Dhabi in 2007 in the back while we're warming up. and I was helping my friend warm up for his first round match,
Yeah.
and Javier Vasquez.
The chess
And
guy.
huh?
The chess guy.
No,
Is
what do you
is
mean?
the I mean, like you were talking about a guy like a high level chess guy, chess
Yeah. No, same tournament, but I
tournament.
haven't met him yet. That's
Okay.
Josh Waitzkin.
Okay.
Yeah. So before I met Josh,
Mhm.
I was in the back and I was warming up
Okay.
Javier Vasquez. He competed in the 64, what is it? 64 kilo? 62 kilo. 64 kilo.
4 kilos.
65 kilo.
Okay.
65 kilo.
Okay.
So 145.
Mm.
The lowest weight division. And he ended up losing first round on a
Mhm.
-1. He didn't even know he was losing.
Mhm.
By the way, Javier Vasquez is one of the greatest jiu-jitsu minds of all time who has never won
A competition.
the biggest things.
Yeah.
People don't even know how amazing that guy is.
Mm-hmm.
So people from the old, you haven't heard of him, right?
No.
Javier Vasquez.
And I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. Poor Javier. Javier is incredible.
Just like
People,
you, like you're so amazing, but not many people know, like
yeah,
about you. So
yeah, but Javier was a better competitor than me.
okay,
You know, he was I was good. Javier was
great.
incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Javier was as good as anybody you know now. He
Mm-hmm.
just he just didn't get the notoriety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Ja- Javier Vasquez, he beat Eddie Bravo every time they grappled.
Really?
Uh, yeah, every time they grappled in competitions, he beat him. Um, the only person I ever saw beat Javier was BJ Penn. I think you can find that one on YouTube.
So it's
Um,
like Javier Vasquez, right? Is that
yeah,
the full name?
Javier Vasquez. Yes,
Okay,
Vasquez.
Vasquez.
Um, he fought in the UFC. He,
All
you
right.
know, he ended up fighting, but near the end of his career,
It's a
I
shame that
think
I
he
don't
fought.
know.
I think he ended up beating. He beat champion Jens Pulver, I believe.
Okay.
I believe he beat Jens Pulver.
Isn't
Uh,
Jens Pulver undefeated? Okay, okay.
no.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of somebody else.
Because I want to make sure I got that right.
Yes.
I might have screwed up. So let me make sure because now I'm wondering if my mind has been.
I can also.
I forget things every now and then too. Um, as far as I remember, I could be confusing him with BJ Penn. I know BJ beat him. Yeah. Yeah.
Jens
He
Pulver?
fought him in WEC.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I can see that. I'm confusing somebody else with Jens Pulver. Like, forget that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So he beat him in WEC, and as far as I remember,
Mm-hmm.
it was so he beat Joe Stevenson.
Joe
Yeah.
Daddy
So
Stevenson.
he beat Joe Daddy Stevenson.
Yeah.
He lost to Chad Mendez by decision.
Okay.
Beat Jens Pulver by armbar, and
Uh-huh.
that was long after Jens Pulver was already the UFC champ
Mm-hmm.
at one point. People might say he was over the hill, but he's still very good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, he was incredible. Anyway, um, he beat Jeff Glover. So people
Oh.
who know him, yeah, Jeff Glover, he triangled Jeff Glover. Uh, you know, people from the older days, we all know who Javier Vasquez was. Like,
Okay.
anyway, sorry to go off on the side, but
It's fine.
why did I? Now I forgot why I brought him up. I was
The competition.
I
86
was warming up with him at Abu Dhabi,
Abu Dhabi.
and then I see Marcelo Garcia warming up.
Mm-hmm.
He's right next to me,
Oh.
and then I see him get done. He's gonna check his weight. He takes his shirt off,
Mm-hmm.
and Marcelo Garcia is just jacked.
Really?
He is so, yeah. I mean, like at 169 pounds, that guy was just jacked. like almost like, are you on the bomba? Are you on the you know what the bomba means, right?
Like,
So
yeah,
yeah, the Brazilian steroids.
steroids. Yeah,
It looked like that. I'm not saying he was a steroid user. I
I
don't
understand.
know.
Just to exaggerate, to make a point. Yeah,
Yeah, but he looked
like it.
incredible.
Mm,
Marcelo Garcia,
mm,
Eddie Bravo himself, as you know,
mhm.
oh my God, your grip.
Your hips are like so strong. Like, do you
Yeah,
lift weights? You're like, I don't lift weights. Like,
yeah, he just does jujitsu, but
yeah,
the guy does so much jujitsu. His strength is incredible. I
incredible.
mean, I myself have a crazy grip, but I don't work out much anymore. But I could still, I have this weird grip from grappling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know what Eddie Bravo was feeling, but it's got to be like multiplied even more.
I mean,
So
it's very obvious when you see people's faces even before Marcelo gets a complete choke. They're like, I mean,
yeah,
it's just one arm, and he doesn't even
yeah,
get to the right position, and they're like,
yes,
I can
exactly.
feel the level of grip that he has. I think it comes
Yeah,
from years and years of like the neuromuscular coordination,
yeah,
like doing the
yeah,
same
for
thing
sure.
again and again. I think it's
Yeah,
strength more than
it
muscle.
does. It does. I mean, like I have this little trick that I do.
Hmm.
I've never shown it on video, but I take a rope, like a climbing rope. They're about, what is a climbing rope like
Yeah,
this,
I know.
and they're big. It's not like little one.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I put it behind me,
Hmm.
and I grip it without thumbs,
Hmm.
and
Oh,
I climb the rope like this,
okay, okay.
just to demonstrate grip strength.
Uh-huh.
Because if you try it, if you have a rope, try it out.
Okay.
Try to grip the rope behind you, not
Hmm.
like this, where you get to use,
Just like this.
yes, if you hold it in front of you, you're gripping it, and then you can kind of hug it.
Hug it, yeah.
Yeah, like hold it like this, don't use thumbs, and climb it.
Hmm.
And instantly you'll see that your grip strength is a big part of holding on.
Hmm.
So I basically climb it like this,
Hmm. Hmm.
and about and I do that sometimes just to show off.
Hmm.
But it's good for kids, and my adults too. They go, "Oh man, let me try," and nobody else can do it.
Yeah.
Only people with extreme grip strength can do it.
Hmm.
But I even myself, I'm like, why can nobody else do this?
Hmm.
I did it by accident.
Hmm.
Like I just was messing around.
Hmm.
And then I realized nobody else could do it.
Hmm.
And I realized you need really good grip strength. So only people in all my life, nobody's been able to do it except for people that were insanely strong with their
Strong.
grip. So
Hmm.
anyway, so what's the explanation? Because I was an average person.
Hmm.
It's just because of grappling
Hmm.
for so long. That's
Hmm.
all I can think of.
Hmm.
Wrestling too, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think jujitsu helps with grip,
Hmm.
but I think wrestling is another level. I don't think they won't understand until they wrestle.
I mean,
Like,
like it's a common war between the jiu-jitsu community and the wrestling community. And if we find people that are close-minded, the wrestling guys are gonna say like, "You guys are very lazy. You just sit on the mat, like smoke weed and all the
yeah,
stuff." And the jiu-jitsu people are gonna talk like, "You guys are like knuckleheads. You don't have technique. You don't have high-level understanding." I
yeah,
think wrestling and jiu-jitsu should be happily married together, like to have
yeah,
a successful.
yeah. A lot of times when it comes to the energy system of each sport, they are different.
Different.
And the best way I can explain it is if it was running, wrestling is like running like a mile.
Mm-hmm.
It's like running 1 mile, and jujitsu is more like 3 miles.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way, 2 to 3 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a really fast 1 mile runner,
Mm-hmm.
you may not be that good at the 2, 3 mile.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be better than the average guy, but
Yeah.
that's why wrestlers do so well when they go into jujitsu. But the problem with the jujitsu guys is they only know how to run 2 to 3 miles,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you make them run 1 mile, it's so hard. The pace is so ferociously
Yeah.
fast
Mm-hmm.
that they immediately give up.
They can
They,
keep
they,
up.
they go, you guys are crazy. It's so tiring. Every jiu-jitsu guy, they go, man, it's so tiring to do takedowns. I just want to pull guard.
And you know what? That's why jiu-jitsu guys demand this no time limit thing,
Yeah,
because they can, like, stay defensive initially
yeah,
until the wrestler kind of wears out, and then they can implement their game, like,
yeah.
the
They are better at
every.
the longer duration.
Yes.
They're just true. That's how they fight. But here's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
We should, like you said, we should marry them.
Mm-hmm.
And wrestling is the way it is. It's predominantly taught a certain style, just like we talked about earlier about jiu-jitsu style. But wrestling can be taught with a jiu-jitsu style.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I teach my wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
So my wrestlers are hybrid. My wrestlers that know nothing about jiu-jitsu, they don't even know until I tell them that their style of wrestling is a blend of jiu-jitsu and wrestling. And when they beat their opponents all the time in wrestling, they all come to me and they go, Coach, they're not that good. Coach, they're not that technical. Coach, they don't have our technique. And I keep explaining to them why. Or they go, Coach, they keep getting tired. Why do our opponents keep getting tired? And I'm like, it's because I teach you more technique and we focus on the technique and we don't try to just beat someone into submission. We try to outsmart them. We use strategies. And so, but the truth is, at high levels of wrestling, they use it all. The high level wrestlers use it all. But when most people bump into a wrestler, they go, "Oh, you're a wrestler?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, I'm here to try jiu-jitsu." The wrestler grabs them really tight and he starts going crazy. And then they think that wrestling is like that. Like it's only like that. But they haven't wrestled with someone like some of my favorite wrestlers, like Buvasar Satyev. So Satyev is one of the greatest of all time Russian wrestlers. I don't know if you know Satyev.
I don't follow wrestling that much.
Yeah, so just YouTube Satyev, Satiev, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
I know this guy Alexander Karelin or something.
Yeah, but he was just a really big Greco-Roman wrestler. Not really. That's not a good example.
Okay.
He was a great wrestler. He was a wrestler that was undefeated for his whole career, and then he lost his final match. But he's not the one you want to look to when it comes to technique or great. He's really, really strong at a heavyweight class. Satyev, Buvasar. There's two of them. They're both amazing.
How do you spell that?
S-A-T. Yeah, T-I-V-I-E-V. Satyev. Satyev.
First name?
Buvasar. B-O-U. It should come up immediately. V.
Okay, yeah, Buvasar. Okay, yeah. I'll look up.
So anyway, he was like Marcelo Garcia of his day. And he would grab people and nobody knew what was going to come. He could do whatever he wanted on a wrestling mat. And highly technical. But, the best wrestlers, they grab you and you don't even know they're there. And then they're there. And then they disappear. Yeah. It's such a high. But if they want to crash, they can crash.
Yeah.
If they want to hit you and crash hard, they can.
Yeah.
But it's not all about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And so my next question is, like, when we come to MMA, what do you think is the best grappling style for MMA? Is it the 10th planet stuff or the Gracie stuff? Because like when you open the guard for punches, it's going to be hard to keep the guy down if he doesn't want to be there on the ground. So what do you think is the most imposing game when it comes to MMA?
My stuff.
Okay.
Okay. No. You can't take all of my stuff because a lot of my channel has bullshit no-gi grappling stuff. So it's for no-gi grappling.
Yes,
I admit that.
Not for MMA. Okay.
Right. And I admit that. There's times where I do crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I would not recommend it. But but you can still use most of it, the majority,
Mm-hmm.
for MMA with small adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the overwhelming problem with 10th Planet, at least remember, there are wrestlers that find 10th Planet
Mm-hmm.
and they do really well, like
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, 90% of Tony Ferguson's game is not 10th Planet.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he does a DARS,
Mm-hmm.
that's bullshit. He already was doing a DARS.
Mm-hmm.
He already knew a DARS.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he was good at it. I'm sure they refined it
Mm-hmm.
over at 10th Planet. Tony Ferguson is also a person that I trained before he went to 10th Planet too.
Really?
Not very
Oh.
much, yeah,
Okay. Uh-huh.
not very long, a couple weeks.
Uh-huh.
But you know, he actually came to me. He wanted me to be his coach
Mm-hmm.
in 2013.
Wow.
And I told him no. I said I'm not going to train you
You're so
because we
crazy.
don't. Huh?
Because you're so crazy.
No.
I'm
At the
kidding.
time, I was training a lot of MMA fighters at the time.
Okay.
I had, you know, a few guys make it into the UFC,
Mm-hmm.
and uh,
Can you name them?
Tony, huh?
Like, can you name some of the fighters that made it to UFC, like your students? I think you
Well,
made Vicente Luque.
Vince Pichel is the main one. He's
He's
the one I
undefeated.
spoke to.
He's undefeated. 12-0.
No, he's not undefeated. He's had 2 losses already in the UFC.
Oh, okay.
So he lost to Khabibov and he's lost to
Rustam Khabibov. Oh, yeah. Okay.
and he also lost to he was undefeated. He got knocked out by Kevin Lee.
Okay, let me check. Okay. Mm-hmm.
G.
Vince
Um,
Pichel.
Varun, I'm getting old. His name starts with a G. How do I not? Gregor Gillespie.
Oh, he just got knocked. Oh, yeah, but
Yeah,
by.
he got knocked out by Kevin Lee. We lost to Gregor Gillespie.
Yeah. Okay.
So we got arm triangled.
Okay.
So anyway, Vince Pichel is one of them. Another one was Joseph Henley, who was on the Ultimate Fighter. He actually, I don't remember if he actually fought in the UFC. I think he was at the finale. You know, he fought at the finale, so I don't know if that's considered
But
fighting.
I remember there's a student of yours that fought in the UFC and is undefeated. He's a policeman too. I think he is the police department too.
Yeah, but he's not one of mine. He just trains at my gym. He's a friend. His name is
The
Philip Miller.
pound and pound something. Yeah.
Philip Miller. Yeah, Philip Miller.
Okay. I got confused. Okay.
He's trained with me, but
He's not your.
after his UFC career.
Okay.
He came from the same school as Joe Stevenson. So
Okay.
him and Joe Stevenson are from the original combat grappling with I'm getting old. Just out of respect for the instructor. Ted Williams. Ted Williams, you probably won't know who he is. Ted Williams started combat grappling. He also started the MMA show Gladiator Challenge.
Okay.
Gladiator Challenge is an old MMA promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an old MMA promotion that produced a lot of UFC fighters. Like they came out of those ranks into the UFC. Anyway, no, Philip Miller just trained at my gym.
Mm-hmm.
I also helped train Jeremy Jackson. He's in prison right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, but Tony Ferguson came into the gym in 2013 at the time when I had basically disbanded my MMA team. I canceled it.
Mm-hmm.
I was fed up that one of my fighters wanted to train with a different striking coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so it created problems where my fighters weren't listening to me anymore. I said, listen, this is your striking coach. You need to listen to him. And he's like, he was partial to one of our other striking coaches. You know what I'm saying? And it just created a problem. And I said, listen, if you're not going to listen to me, then I'm done. I'm not going to train you guys anymore. Not to mention, people leave after they at the time, Joe Henley left the moment he got in the Ultimate Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, all right, I'm done. I still love Joe Henley. We're still friends, but
You had to cut
you
ties
know,
with him
it was just, I'm not Katai. We're still friends, but he
in terms
chose
of
to train
training.
with other people.
Okay.
So I said, look, I'm not going to train a bunch of guys, get them in the UFC, and then you guys are going to leave the
Yeah.
moment that we reach the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
I go, no, I need some of the credit, and I need
Exactly.
some of, I'm not going to train you for free, a lot of them for free,
Yeah.
so that I can hand you to a Greg
Another.
Jackson
Yeah.
or Dominic Cruz or someone else. You're not going to
You
go
lose
to
all your
Ferrari.
credit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I go, no, that's not how it works. I go, I'm not doing it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I will, you know what? I'm getting paid now. Screw you. I'm going to go teach people who pay me $150 a month,
Yeah.
and they can pay me for jiu-jitsu. And if you want to learn MMA from me, you're going to pay. I'm not going to we used, at Big John McCarthy's, we had something that a lot of people wish that they had.
Mm-hmm.
We had a place where we had tryouts. People could try out for the MMA team if they made it. I was their coach every day, and they could show up, and we would train 2.5 to 3 hours a day.
What
I
a
was giving them my Sundays, my Saturdays.
yeah.
I would train them for 6 hours
Yeah.
on a weekend to
I
upgrade their
I lived in
skills.
California. What a pity.
Huh?
I
Yeah.
wish I lived in California. What a
And
pity.
people didn't even understand what they were getting.
Yeah.
And not to mention the most elite level facility.
Mm-hmm.
Big John McCarthy's Ultimate Training Academy
Mm-hmm.
was one of the first of its kind where you had absolutely everything at your
Okay.
fingertips.
Okay.
Nowadays, they're everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of gyms,
Mm-hmm.
they they stick everything together. It's
Mm-hmm.
like what you see at American Top Team,
Oh yeah.
Greg Jackson's,
Uh-huh.
and there's many more now. There's so many now. But anyway, I quit doing that. So I told Tony, I said, I'm not really training fighters that much anymore. I go, I have a couple, but I go, I go, Vince, even my guy Vince, who come back from the Ultimate Fighter, he's probably training down at Dominic Cruz's most of the time.
Okay.
At the time,
Mm-hmm.
he fought one fight with Lloyd Irvin, and I forget Dominic Cruz's coach. If I heard his name, I would know. But anyway,
In
they
Alliance
were what?
Alliance Gym.
Yeah, Lions Gym.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the guy's name.
Yeah. Even I forgot the name. But I
Anyway,
remember like whom you're
but
talking about.
Lloyd Irvin was one of the other coaches.
Okay.
So they cornered Vince and with me,
Mm-hmm.
but I was holding the bucket. They were the ones doing the real coaching.
Mm.
I didn't train him for that fight with Khabibov.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, even if I trained him, we still may have lost, but I believe that we would have done better. I was trying to warn Vince about the suplexes
I think
before that.
Habilo is just like another Dagestani guy. I mean, like those guys, they're just like braces when it comes to overall grappling. Like you can't out grapple them. You have to have a kind of an overall game to like kind of outsmart them. You have to
Right.
make striking and grappling in a very
Right.
intelligent
I
way.
agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But all I can say is we shouldn't have been suplexed so many times. We were
Was that the guy? Boom,
Yes.
boom, boom, and
Yeah.
okay.
I was there in the corner, but I did not train him for the fight. I tried to warn him over and over about the suplexes.
Mm-hmm.
It was not unknown to us.
Mm-hmm.
His guys down in at Alliance, those coaches did not give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd Irvin didn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
All he cared about was getting paid to be in the corner.
Okay.
And that's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? When the fight was over, they had no answers to that problem.
Yeah.
Why? Well, first of all, none of them have any expertise when it comes to throws.
Sure.
How embarrassing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're Lloyd Irvin. You know, I'm sorry, Lloyd Irvin, you're a jiu-jitsu guy. You're a judo guy. You know nothing about that shit. And you didn't help him. And you had no answers.
Mm-hmm.
Before the fight, was trying to help him with the suplex.
When
But
you try to lock your legs like this,
Yeah,
to stop him
there's
from
many,
lifting you.
that's a good thing. And I tried to go over that with him.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't trained.
Mm-hmm.
And they told him to go against the fence.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stupid advice was this?
Yeah.
They were telling him to go to the fence.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that if they went to the fence, that it would be hard for Khabilov to take him down.
Mm-hmm. That's
Ridiculous
ridiculous. Yeah.
logic.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't do that with. Imagine saying that to you know, um, Khabib, with Khabib Nurmagomedov.
He is good
Go to
in
the
like
fence. Dude, the only way Khabib takes people down is
cage.
by pushing them into the fence.
Yeah.
You want to beat Khabib, just stay in the middle.
Yeah.
If you want to stay in the middle and you can kickbox well
Mm-hmm.
and circle, Khabib will have a hard time taking you down.
Mm-hmm.
95% of Khabib's takedowns are up against the
Up against the
fence.
cage. Yeah. Up against the cage.
It doesn't make sense to put yourself purposely against the fence to defend against that level.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
I think
I would
for the
suggest that.
suplex, that one technique where you lock the legs, and the other one is I think if you get suplexed, I think there's a way to grand beat roll and like reverse the position. If you remember Habib against this guy, oh my God! I mean, he took him like 21 times down, and that
Gleison Tibau.
not Gleason Tebow.
Oh, no.
One second, sorry. Uh, he's a Mexican name.
I think I know who you're talking about.
I'll get it in a moment. Abel Trujillo.
Yes.
Abel Trujillo.
People tree.
So he took him, he suplexed him. I won't say that was like a legit suplex, but he kind of suplexed him, but he just did a grand beat roll, and Habib almost ended up on the bottom. He was
Yeah.
actually mounting Habib. So I think like those are the types of things you should teach people. Those are the anti-wrestling moves you should teach people instead of trying to out-grapple people like Khabilov
Yeah.
or Habib. That's never going to happen. And that's not the smartest way of teaching people. What you
Yeah.
said was correct, because like,
I think with the suplex, here's the thing. My student Vince, he's not a wrestler. So he's learned wrestling through my style of grappling, but he's not a wrestler. So you're only going to learn so much wrestling in that way, unless you dive more deep into it. And once Vince got to the UFC, just to be honest, he and we train together. I still train him, but we train less. You know what I mean? You reach a level, you
then
get to
he's
the
like, okay, let me just brush up, or like
now
this.
exactly. And that's the problem in every coach goes through this with their athletes.
Yeah.
Unless their athlete is completely dedicated and stays young in the mind. Anyway, let me just say, yeah, empty cup. But when it comes to that suplex, if you wrestle, hooking the leg, one of the best things is hooking the leg. The other thing you can do very simply is it's basically like you treat it like a freestyle wrestling match or Greco wrestling match. You kind of pancake out and lay forward. You make the suplex man work for it, and you dive your hip forward. So when he suplexes you, it becomes very hard. He uses a lot of energy to barely expose your back to the
on top of the city.
Yeah. Now in a wrestling match, you get points no matter what. In wrestling, you get 4 or 5 points no matter what, whether you slam him or if he lightly exposes his back. You either get feet to back, which is 4, or you get super high amplitude 5.
Oh yeah.
And so either way, you're going to get the points. So a wrestler will still do the move because he's going to get big points.
Yes.
But in a fight, it's a waste of energy because you didn't do any damage.
Yeah.
And the fighter can then fight to get back up again.
Yeah.
Suplex me again. Go ahead. Waste your energy.
And you're dead now. Like after 3 or 4 attempts.
Yes. After 3 or 4 attempts, you won't go for suplexing anymore. And you'll notice the wrestler will start trying for trips. When you get him going for trips, you know something. Psychologically, he's going, I can't take you down by lifting anymore.
Yeah.
And now you've stopped his energy.
I don't know if you remember the fight between Fedor and this guy, like I don't remember his name, but a black dude, and he's
Kevin Randleman.
Kevin Randleman. He
Yes.
suplexed him, and if it
He,
was a concrete floor, Fedor would have been in the hospital or he would have died. So
yeah.
suplex is real, guys. Like, you know, you
Yeah.
need to, if you're a real martial artist, you have to know how to defend a suplex because it's gonna like
Right.
cause damage big time. So
Yeah.
yeah. So like
Fedor timed that perfectly on, he tucked.
yeah.
He tucked because he had to. There was nothing else to do,
Mm-hmm.
but he timed it perfectly, and it was like a judo break fall in
Mm-hmm.
a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, honestly, Randleman, in my opinion, didn't do the suplex quite as good as he could have. But I know everyone looks at that as the epic suplex, but the form of the way that Randleman rotated is not the way we do it in
The
wrestling.
most optimum way. Okay.
It's not, we arch
Mm.
as I show on my video.
Yeah.
Yeah, Randleman didn't arch.
Mm.
Randleman hip hopped
Mhm.
and rotated.
Okay.
He rotated.
But
And
trust me, like he got him good. He got him good.
yeah, he did get him good,
Mhm.
but
It could have
I
been
still
better.
think, I still think out of that position, if he would have done it, executed it the way that we teach
He could have finished the fight.
I think he would have landed better.
Mm.
The way that he landed was almost due to the way that Fedor tucked and rolled, but also the way that Randleman chose to throw. I think that changed it a little bit. But that's that's mostly because Randleman loves at the time loved his steroids,
Mm.
and his body doesn't move like a.
That's a chew.
Keep in mind, Kevin Randleman was a high level wrestler,
Mhm.
very good,
Mhm.
but he doesn't move like a wrestler anymore because he was so
Yeah.
juiced.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
so
And
jacked.
anyway, whatever.
Mhm.
Enough said.
So, my question is, if you cannot, if you're a great jiu-jitsu guy and you want to impose your game and you cannot take your opponent down in an MMA fight, what do you think are the best options, like pulling guard or this Imanari rolls, or like going for the takedown and pulling guard like Damian Maya, how
Yeah.
Damian Maya does? What do you think is the most, like, you have battle tested everything for sure? So, what do you
Yeah.
think, in your opinion, is the best way to take in to initiate the ground game? If you're a jiu-jitsu guy, high level jiu-jitsu guy, but you can't take the other guy down.
I would I would say a lot like Ryan Hall, whether you can master an Imanari roll, that's not easy, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's one weapon.
Mhm.
I think it's much easier to get yourself into a clinch and then become Ryan Hall. So once you're in the clinch, in the old days we would see it from Marco Huas.
Marco
So do you
Huas,
know
yeah.
Marco Huas?
Yes.
Marco Huas was very good at in a clinch,
Dropping that.
drop straight to butterfly guard, and then shoot your leg around for a leg lock position like Ashigurami
Yes.
into a heel hook.
Yeah.
He used that technique in the UFC
Because he was
way.
a luta libre guy. All they did
Huh?
was like he was a luta libre guy. Do you know what
Yes,
a luta
yes,
libre? Yeah. So I think all
yes,
they did, their jiu-jitsu was like more leg lock based. So
yes,
that's why. Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So that's something that I was trained to do quite a bit in the 90s. And I think that for jiu-jitsu guys, they need to be shown those methods.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch Twins,
Big round.
Shogun,
Shogun.
Rua, uh, Mauricio. I want to say it was him, his brother's name,
Murillo,
Murillo.
Murillo Hua.
Right, Hua. So one of them or both of them would use the entry from the back, rear standing. They would drop into 50-50.
Yes, 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 from the back. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So if you cannot take your opponent down,
yeah.
those are great ways to entangle your opponent,
Mm-hmm,
make him fear the leg lock.
mm-hmm,
If you can't get the leg lock,
mm-hmm,
work on getting into those positions
mm-hmm,
so that you can create a sweep.
mm-hmm,
Then you can get on top.
mm-hmm.
And that's where Ryan Hall is the perfect He's the perfect guy for that. He knows all of that stuff. Trust me, he can get into all of that stuff. So he just needs to clinch. He may not be good enough to take everyone down, but he can clinch you and then fall into these leg lock positions. Nobody's better than him. Nobody's
Okay.
better than Ryan Hall.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ryan Hall is the best
The best.
at doing
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
So if you suck at takedowns,
Mm-hmm.
learn Ryan Hall's game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Imanari, clinch, dropping into Ashigarami,
Mm-hmm.
and rear standing, rolling into 50-50.
Okay.
All Ryan Hall techniques he knows how to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's
What do
my
you think?
best option.
What do
Because
you think about?
guard, it
Yeah,
doesn't work
yeah.
well.
I mean, because because me being a very small guy, when I try to jump guard, the big guys kind of like carry me, like take me home,
Yeah. And you're going to get
and that's so
slammed in a street
embarrassing.
fight.
Huh?
And you'll get slammed in a street
Slammed in a
fight.
street fight.
It's not
So,
good. You should drop. You're in a clinch, drop to a single leg,
mhm,
and then drop into guard from the single leg.
okay.
Because then you have a chance.
Mhm,
You can wrap a leg lock. If you're good at leg locks, you can wrap that up. You can create a sweep. You can at least use your guard in some way. That's my advice to a jiu-jitsu guy who has shitty ass takedowns.
yes, takedowns. But
He
I think
can't take it down.
the old school jiu-jitsu had takedowns like the Bayana and all those stuff, and the one where like Kron Gracie, where in his fight with Alex Caceres, like put one leg in between the two legs and like kind of jumped and like kind of took
Yeah.
it down. But like
Yeah.
when he
The
fought
boom
against Cubs,
slicker. Yeah.
when he fought against Cub Swanson, I think he was just implementing the Hickson Gracie game, and he clearly proved that it doesn't work no more against this.
Yeah.
At least maybe if it was like a Validator rules with endless 10-minute rounds, maybe he would have caught him at some point of time. But with this UFC rules, I don't think even Hickson would have like fared well in this UFC. So
Yeah.
so I
Agreed. 100%.
yeah.
I
So I think maybe that kind of jiu-jitsu is okay to like keep you safe and like in a street fight like till your help arrives or something like that. But I think we need to evolve a lot. So
yeah.
I think like this podcast can go forever. I think we can make it 2 parts if you want. So but as of now, I think I have like took a lot of your time. I'm gonna let you go. And before that, do you want to say something about like your future goals, your academy, your way of teaching, or whatever you want, like without my interruption?
Yeah. I'll say this. This is the truth of what I've noticed, what goes on in my mind in my school. Um, I am creating, like you said, like my jujitsu,
Mm.
and in my jujitsu, the when I look at my students, I am not exactly happy because I'll say this: much of what through our training, they're learning Brian Peterson technique, let's say. But as time goes by, I'm noticing the way our evolution is going, we are moving towards much like the same thing that jiu-jitsu did. It's no-gi grappling. My guys are not learning the takedowns as much as they need to. It's becoming a style of no-gi grappling, not a self-defense system or MMA system. I will put those as the same. I know they are different slightly. Self-defense is not MMA is not self-defense, but it's the closest thing to it because it's as real as it gets. Other than talking about every class, I don't teach every class. Hey guys, they're pulling your head now. Now the guy's gonna bite you. Now the guy's gonna strike your balls. Like we're not talking about that every class. I do address it sometimes, but I don't address it every class. But some of my guys, I've noticed, still don't have what I have. Now, the ones that do are my former wrestlers.
Okay.
So what this means is one way to do my grappling is to make all of my students, and this is not realistic, but create a wrestling program for my students, like my high school kids. So all my youth, I now have youth that I've been teaching since age 7. The one that's the longest with me, he's 7 when he started, and now he's 19. So he's been with me for 12 years. He's the only one that, not the only one, but he's one of the ones that has trained wrestling. He's now wrestling Division I college in America here. He's going to go into his sophomore year. When he's done, he wants to come back and do jiu-jitsu. He had a match with Ty Rutolo. You know Ty Rutolo?
I have Tyeruto. I have heard the name somewhere, but I'm not sure whom you're talking about. I can't recollect anything about him.
He was in the 145-pound Abu Dhabi in 2019. He lost the bronze medal match to Miao.
Oh yeah, Paulo Mia. Yeah.
He's the one that was knee barring Miao.
Okay.
So Ty Rutolo is one of the greatest jiu-jitsu guys right now coming up.
Okay.
He's barely 18, 19 years old. So,
wow, these guys.
So anyway, my kid was the same. They were right there with Ty Rutolo when they were 13. But my kid chose to go wrestling, stop jiu-jitsu, and now, but as an example, he can be like me. You know what I mean? Because he has the wrestling. Many of my MMA fighters have done quite well because they show in their, that's why my guys make it to the UFC most of the time, and they do pretty well in MMA. I have a lot of MMA success in my students. Not all of them get to the UFC, but a lot. Like, again, I'm patting myself on the back, but my MMA guys, when I was at Big John's, we compiled an MMA record. This is not one guy. This is all the guys I coached, counting everyone. We had 141 fights in that time I served at Big John's. Out of 141 fights, we had 111 wins. So we had 29 losses and 1 draw. So I think that's a pretty good record. That out of the 141 fights, I don't know the exact number, but that's probably 25 fighters.
Okay.
I don't know. Like some guys had 12 fights. Some guys had 2 fights. Some guys had 5 fights, right?
Some did too. Okay.
Yeah, but that's 25 different athletes.
Yeah.
It came to me, and I trained them and got them ready for MMA, and we did pretty well. So I think those guys are more prepared. That's the jiu-jitsu that I want people to know.
Okay.
Out of those guys that are still with me, 2 of them are brown belts, Vince and Dave Weber. Dave has been on a few of my videos. He's very physically impressive. He's like, I just had him on the other night with Vince.
Like the bald guy? Is he bald?
He's not bald, but the last video I did with Vince, where they went punch, 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 clinch, lock, Sotogari.
Sotogari do the arm triangle, yeah.
Arm triangle. He was the other one. So those 2 guys are both,
okay.
They're both brown belts. They both can wrestle pretty good. You know, even though they've never wrestled, you know, but they're both pretty good. So they represent me the way I want. The guys like Kneebar Mike, I got to get him better takedowns, but he is representing me with his ability to do jiu-jitsu on the mat.
With one aspect, just one aspect.
Right. And so I need, personally, my job is to find the medium between great wrestling and jiu-jitsu and great jiu-jitsu and find the perfect dial. But if you want a UFC level fighter, I have to have them wrestle. I'm not saying they got to compete in jiu-jitsu competitions, but they have to, in wrestling competitions, but they have to wrestle with my wrestlers if I'm going to make what I think is the highest level jiu-jitsu. And when I say highest level, I mean capable of competing in the UFC. not competing in. I don't give a shit personally about a guy who can pull guard and berimbolo and do the worm guard, and I honestly don't care. I think you're good at jiu-jitsu, Keenan, but until you do your jiu-jitsu in MMA,
Yeah.
you know,
That's the
I
whole
think
point of
Keenan,
jiu-jitsu.
by the way, I want to give a compliment to Keenan. Now that I slapped a little bit, you know, he has gotten older. Even he has gotten better at his wrestling, and he's gotten better at that stuff. And I think he's pretty damn good now. But early, when he first was a black belt, he was getting a lot of credit that he didn't deserve. He did not deserve as much credit as everyone was giving him.
Okay.
He's way better now.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, in my opinion, he has earned that world champion level now, not before. Before, he was just a guard puller, and he was just good at a little bit of ground jiu-jitsu. But to me, and I think he admits that, he tells the students now that they got to get on top, you know.
You know, that's what happened when there was a debate, like, you know, when he badmouthed about like Hickson and Helio, that they're just purple belts as of now. And when the whole community got mad at him, he said like, hey, I'm just talking about the sport jiu-jitsu. When it comes to street fight, they're the shit. So he admits that he's a black belt in just competition jiu-jitsu.
Right. But now, but I will say now, right now, today, 2020, he has my
respect,
blessing. If that doesn't mean shit to any of the students, they don't give a shit about me. But to me, he now has my blessing as a super high level black belt. He's very technical. I really like Keenan now. I didn't like his attitude before as much.
Nobody can tackle me, you know. So,
yeah, he talked a lot, but he hadn't, and I think he realizes it. You can see it even on his videos today. He's much more humble now. And I think he realizes he's learned a lot from black belt to where he is now. He's learned as much, I think, as he learned to become a black belt. And that's what usually being a black belt, you start to learn. You finally realize, I feel like it's time to learn and grow, and it's like the Socrates thing. Now I know enough to know that
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I thank you so much. I would like to pay you a compliment, Varun.
No.
Sir, now, listen. How old are you?
I'm just turned 25.
Okay. How long have you been training in the martial arts?
I came to America when I was like 21, 22. And I've been training like here and there because I went to school and I got a full-time job. So like, you know, overall training, like right from, I've been training a lot with different martial artists, but I've been like, I would love to give everybody credit, but I learned a lot by myself. It's largely self-taught. I'm not even like a white belt right now, but I can really like, you know, give purple belts a hard time. So I can't say like, you know, because I have not trained in the traditional way in the belt systems. So I've been a very much of an enthusiast that like trained with everybody, everything.
How many years from start? So 21 to 25?
So my real training in the America, but because I'm not considering my MMA training back in India, because like in India it's still booming. It's not as developed.
But I still want to know. Okay, so I got
3 years here and there.
3 years here and 3 years there?
No. Here, I mean, like inconsistent.
How many there?
There it's like from okay. I started my martial arts in 2014 in India. It was like kung fu and all the stuff that doesn't even count.
Yeah.
And then I came to the United States in 2016. And before that, I was doing some jiu-jitsu, like watching UFC and with my boys and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And there was a really good guy that knew stuff. And when I came to the United States in 2016, I trained. Do you know Jeff Funicello? Do you know? Have you heard?
Yeah.
Pancreas
He and I were on the same team.
Really?
for grappling.
I don't know about that.
He was doing USA Grappling.
Yes, yes, USA grappling,
Jeff
pancreation guy,
Jeff was more of a wrestler.
wrestler, more of wrestler, and
He
he
was more
spanked me
wrestler.
every time I pull guard. He used to spank me, and like so.
Well, see, I was on the same team as him, but there was a lot of wrestlers like Jeff. Jeff didn't know much when we were on the team together in
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
2009. He
Okay,
didn't know.
he was more of a wrestler.
He was a wrestler.
Yeah,
He was a wrestler that was figuring it out.
figuring out. Yeah, yeah,
I was already a black belt,
yeah.
but
He's not a
but
jiu-jitsu guy for sure.
yeah, but I remember him. I don't remember like that much, but I do remember him. I watched a few of his matches. I would cheer him on from the side.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know if he remembers me at all. He probably doesn't.
okay.
But yeah, I was the veteran. He was the beginner. He was
Yes,
starting out.
yes. When it
Yeah,
comes to overall grappling, he is still on his way. So and then I because I studied in ASU. I did my master's there in Arizona State University. So we had a MMA club there. So we used to like there's a guy called Kevin Sidbun that used to like organize this team, and we have a lot of different martial artists, and we used to like exchange stuff. And that's when I kind of, because it's not a legit class, so we can do a lot of experimentation on all those stuff. That's where, because this guy Kevin, he's a very like cerebral guy, like he's very intelligent. He loves to experiment. He was much better than me. He was already competing in MMA, but he used to, even if I say something, if I have a good suggestion, he would like lend his ears, and he would just be patient to like see what works and what doesn't. And he had me as the assistant coach for grappling and all the stuff. So I used to like come up with new stuff that I was really interested in, and I would just blow these new guys, especially the guys from India who never knew anything about martial arts. So I used to like blow their mind. For them, I was like the hero, all the stuff.
yeah,
And then I would like to give a lot. I mean, like, I would answer your question, and after that I would like to give a credit to my coach back in India. He's an amazing coach. I'll talk about that last. So coming back to your question, so and then I moved over to Virginia, and then I didn't train. And my friend just took me to a couple of UFC gyms, and I just like tapped a lot of people there, and they were like impressed. I used to like make a lot of friends wherever I go, because I used to be super involved, and like I used to share a lot of things, and they're like, that's super cool. And then
yeah,
I moved over to Kentucky. There's a Newport, Kentucky, and here I train with the Carlson Gracie team. So it's an MMA gym, but it's more, obviously it's more jiu-jitsu focused, and
yeah,
under a coach called professor called Aaron Thompson, and those guys are incredible. You know how it is, like Carlson Gracie lineage. Everybody is super legit, and
yeah,
there's a couple of UFC and Bellator fighters that train over here, and there's a lot of knowledge sharing, and everybody is an MMA fighter over here except for me, and everybody is used to kicking ass. So everybody is super humble, super approachable, and they will like take you under their wings. They will teach you a
that's
lot.
great.
Nobody is like the kind of a chest puffer, knuckleheads. Nobody is like that.
That's
And
great.
also I competed in Naga in Phoenix. I did very bad, because like I was put in a like couple of weight divisions above. I weighed like 112, and I was facing guys like 140, and
How much do you weigh right now?
right
Oh,
now
you're
126. Back then I was like 112.
the I remember from the live. You were saying,
Yes, yes.
man, that's got to be hard.
It's got to be hard, yeah. But that's what makes me
It's gonna
super
be effective.
impressive in the eyes of people, because like this guy taking this guy down, what?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and I wish I stay 125 for my whole life, but reach greater heights in terms of technique, so that I look super even more impressive. So that is my
yeah,
background. So I would like to like develop my skills and try to compete in MMA, but I think I should at least become 140 to cut down to 125, because I'm gonna be facing monsters that weigh 140 in the cage. You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What? Yeah, I don't. A lot of people say that. I just want to encourage you, and also, and also educate. But like, remember this too. Just because there are some 125ers, they weigh 140 by the time they fight. Not all of them. Most of them are. The average is probably like 132,
Really?
130. Yeah.
Because
The
John
average.
Dodson said he weighed 170.
Who?
John Dodson, if you know who he is, like UFC guy, John
Not
Dodson.
when he's fighting. Not when
Not
he's
when he's
fighting.
fighting, but his walk around weight is like 170.
When he gets really, really fat. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can imagine. But don't but this is one of the problems with weight that people make a mistake on is they just because he was 170, they
What
go, "Oh
kind
my
of a
God."
weight?
Huh?
What kind of a weight it is? Just fat
Yeah,
or like
right. But even if it was muscle, it doesn't matter because you're not 170 when you're fighting.
no, but
Oh,
again,
right.
I believe in my whole heart that I would never have a capacity to make even 140 because I know my family history.
Yeah,
I'm an Indian. I have very poor genetics
yeah,
in my family, but I'm the most athletic, strong guy in my family. Then imagine how
yeah.
big the people back home in.
Just just keep working and get as big as you can.
I
I'm not
can.
saying I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to 140 and then go down to 25, but what I'm saying is just don't think that you have to be like what I'm saying is if you can cut 5 pounds, if you can weigh 130, 132 and cut to 125 and then be very, very healthy, like fully hydrated, energized at
Mhm.
132, those guys that gain back from 125, they go to 138. 138 versus 132, they have 6 pound advantage. It's not worth it.
So,
As much as they cut, you're going to have the advantage. Like, it's not that big. It's not as big of an advantage as people think it is.
mhm,
Over time, as a coach,
mhm.
I'm telling you, it's not as big of an advantage as
Okay,
people think. And
okay.
the other thing that people think, they're wrong. And there's the human bias.
Mhm,
They lie.
mhm.
People love to lie about how much weight they gained after a weight cut. It's one of the most
Okay.
biggest lies I've ever seen. So remember this. Everyone lies.
Mm.
Never believe what people say.
Okay.
Even me, don't believe it. Whatever I say, subtract 10 to 20% off of what I said.
Nice. Okay.
No, with me, you can trust me, but only
Trust me.
because I'm telling you the truth.
Mm.
What I'm saying is like, when I tell people, I say, you know how much weight I cut? I said, I made 132. By the time I was competing, I was 143. And they go, oh, you went up 11 pounds. Some people will say, that's a lot. And then the next person will say, shh, I know somebody who went up 20 pounds.
Mm.
Listen, I was cutting like you wouldn't believe. Have you seen the video of my interview on YouTube where my face looks like this
Uh,
and I have long hair?
Not sure what you're talking about. I
Look
watch
up
all your
my,
stuff in Teach Me Grappling, but nothing apart from that.
look up my name
Okay,
and
Brian Peterson.
interview.
Okay.
And they interviewed me the moment before I stepped on the scale.
Because I never put Brian Peterson because YouTube like pisses me off with a lot of other Brian Petersons. So I put always
Yeah,
Teach Me Grappling, and then
yeah,
it gets filtered to whatever you say your content is
yeah,
in Teach Me Grappling. So that's why I end up watching your content with in terms of Teach Me Grappling stuff.
yeah. Uh, put in my name and then put in interview.
1 second.
Oh, it doesn't come up. Like I thought it was
Or
gonna
you
come
can
up.
like send me the link later.
Okay, yeah, it does come up, but it's way down.
Mm-hmm.
We're speaking with Brian Peterson, who was a member of last year's U.S. World Team in grappling.
Hey, look at this.
Is that even you? Oh
Yes,
my God, you look
that's my
brain
face.
ass. Yeah, you look like a zombie. Oh my
See
God.
how sick I look?
Yeah, yeah.
That's cutting weight.
That's not
Okay,
good. Yeah.
that's cutting weight. Now, I weighed in at 6, 7 o'clock in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to compete in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So like say 9 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I only gained 11 pounds
Okay. Mm-hmm.
back. I felt great. I felt okay. But when people tell you they gained 25 pounds,
It's a lot.
first of all, maybe a guy who's 200,
Mm-hmm.
but the UFC is also different nowadays because the UFC, they weigh in at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if you do that.
Yes.
They weigh
Yes.
in early morning now.
Early morning. Yeah.
So they get more than 24 hours.
Yes.
They get about 36 hours
Yeah.
sometimes before they have to fight.
Yep.
So it gives them more time to rehydrate.
Hydrate.
But for a fighter, for a guy like yourself, 125,
No, let me
you're
let
not.
me tell you something. Even this 125 is because of all the quarantine and all this eating and all this stuff. Even now, I don't have any tummy, or even I'm always jacked because being a small guy, I'm like, I will show you my photos. But I think by like extrapolating my family history, I don't think I can make even 140 because my genetics won't allow that. I have a lot of limitations, and I can't eat much, to be honest with you. Like,
Yeah.
my eating capacity is very poor. But
Can you go
I
to 35, do you think?
maybe if I have a great coach like you that monitors me and like kicks
Yeah.
my ass if I don't like follow the schedule or something. But the thing is, my genetics is so poor. My family is very, it's a, in India you call it the priest clan, where they don't do any, like,
I understand. Yeah.
everybody is like, only
I
into
get it.
like books and all
Everything
stuff.
is the mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've seen, I have friends too. I have Indian friends.
Mm.
And one of my students is Sachin Bhatt. I
Sachin
don't
Bhatt.
know if
Yes.
he's on my channel occasionally. The older
Uh,
videos. Anyway, you'll see him, but he's from that
but is
little
that
more.
but
They,
means
they
like
have they have money. They're good looking. Like he's like oh they're well fed and
they don't
he
like
came.
violent stuff.
Huh?
They don't like
Yeah,
violent stuff, like,
he's very big.
big.
His body, he's a big Indian.
Hmm.
And anyway, the point is like if you can go to like 35, that's a lot. To go from 35 and to dehydrate properly,
Hmm.
get to 25. If you could go to, like I said, even 132, there's not going to be anyone much bigger than you. It's a lie. People lie. I'm not saying nobody, but the people who lose 15, 20 pounds and they try to go up, they never go back up all the way. Remember that.
Hmm.
When their body goes down, they have trouble getting back
Get
up.
back up. Okay.
And
Okay.
then, and then when they do go back up, they're not the same.
Hmm.
They don't feel the same.
Hmm.
Um, Now, obviously, the UFC is different because now they're allowing 36 hours. Like
36
that's
hours.
really different.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's not the same. And when somebody does go up more than you, the weight advantage they have, the 5-6 pound weight advantage they have, is not worth the weakness.
Okay.
The weakness they will have
Hmm.
is it's really not good. And I'm big on teaching people how to cut weight.
I feel
I
better now, internally.
I am a weight cutting expert, and
Okay.
I have not
I
done
know.
any.
You talked about the butthole, like to make weight, all those tricks, like the Kelvin get
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
I
yeah,
use that.
but
This man
yeah,
has been through a lot of competition, and he
yeah,
knows what they do on a, in the international platform, like,
yeah,
people.
yeah. But you'll be good. Just do the best you can. Lots of food, lift weights,
Yeah.
and you'll get
At least as a
increase.
guy from India,
Mhm.
it would be a great thing to even compete in one MMA match and win in America. That's why I'm just focusing too much on my debut. I don't want to mess it up. I just want to put everything. I don't want to like hurry it up because like my team offered me a fight before Corona. I was like, dude, like I might look good, but I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I need somebody to like constantly monitor me because I don't want to mess up my debut because there are a lot of people back home in India that are like waiting for my debut or something like that. So I just want to like represent my country in the best way possible, at least, because like I already, because like when I participated in Naga, like that itself is an achievement for myself, because like being a guy that came from India and participating in Naga, I felt good. But I don't want the same thing to happen again. Like, I just want to make my MMA debut in a solid way possible, and that's what I'm looking. And I learned a lot through martial arts over here, because like even my English, it was crappy back then in
Your
2016,
English is really good.
because
Yeah,
my
it's really
accent
good.
used to, at least I can fake right now to just make you understand what I say. But back then nobody used to understand a word of what I said in 2016. And like everybody in the martial arts community used to make fun of my English. So I was like, that also made me to learn English faster. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like to adapting the English in the to the American way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Not to
I
talk
think
like
you
an
should do
Indian,
it.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to do that. So
I have it.
yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Um, yeah, anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I was trying to compliment you.
Yes.
You've been training for roughly 3 years in India, 3 years in the United States. Either way, I don't know anything about your grappling prowess on the mat because we're not on the mat.
I'll send you
But
some videos later.
right, but what I'm saying is from you talking to me, you have a great mind
Thank you.
for this.
Thank you.
And it's not just that you like me as an instructor. It's not. I'm not saying it just because of that, but it's
I
the
liked you because I was into this. My mind was into this. My mind was
right. Yeah, it's more because. But what I'm complimenting you on, the things that it's that there are very very few people that know what I know, and there's very very few people that can know. For example, oh, the technique that Kron Gracie did with his opponent, or when Gary Tonin went with him, and then I'm going, oh, so he knows that. Oh, when Randleman did it, so you're at minimum you are an extreme fan. Am I right?
Yeah.
At a very minimum. Well, guess what? I'm an extreme fan too. Like I may be a martial artist that like teaches and has a YouTube channel and blah blah blah, but you are a person that studies. Most people, 99.99% of people in jiu-jitsu
Jiu-jitsu, they don't know.
don't study. They do not study.
Yeah.
Nobody will study. I do not have a single student that knows the things that you know when it comes to, like, trust me, when I go to my school, you would think, oh, they learn from Brian Peterson, they're going to know. No, they don't know. They just do what I tell them, like anybody else.
They don't take a lot
And
of references.
they don't go and go, hey, coach, I was watching when Marcelo Garcia was going with Damian Maia, and I saw how he caught Damian Maia like this, and Damian Maia had the MMA gloves on. So do you think that this, like, none of them come to me and
Yes.
talk to me about that shit?
Yeah.
So, do you think it prevented him from defending, whatever? So that's something unique that you have. And I just want to give you that compliment that,
Thank you so much.
it's a great thing to start out with a mind like this, because it makes you unique. There's not too many people like you, because it's not like you learn this at an academy. You don't go to a jiu-jitsu school and they teach you to be like you. You are who you are from your past experiences, your upbringing, your parents, your schooling, your genetics. Somehow you are you, and it's great to be you.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing. Keep going on your path, because it's nice to meet someone that can actually,
In the sync.
yes. So that's all I have to say.
That's
Good job.
Thank you so much. And that's the reason I got synced with you, and that's how I got attracted to your stuff, and that's how I respect you.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're not my direct teacher. I have no reason to like follow you like this, and you're not like super popular. You should have been super popular, but for some reason, like you're not like
Yeah, I don't put that much work into my thumbnails.
exactly.
I gotta work on my thumbnails. Then
Just
maybe more and
because
more people.
just
with
because you said I have a mind for this, that's why I got, attracted to the same wavelength. I resonated with, your way of
yeah.
thinking. And I think that's why I believe this podcast can go for potentially hours together, but we need to like stop this so that we can
Yeah,
take it in little parts, like in whenever you
I
like
know.
it. And before that, before I let you go, I just need to like pay a tribute to my coach back in India,
Oh yeah, yeah,
because this is the stuff that we are proud of. I'm not a racist, I'm not a stupid guy, but I take extreme pride in being in my roots. I'm from India. I'm from a community called the Tamil community. Like it's one of the oldest languages in the world, and this art was developed by him. It's just pure conditioning. He has like a bulletproof body, and any heavyweight, even Francis Ngannou can hit him, and he won't get knocked out. And people can like the high level taekwondo players, they kick him in the nuts, and he is absolutely reactionless. I need to like show you that.
wow.
Oh yeah.
You
I
gotta send me some links.
Yes, I need to share screen. Share screen. Mm, 1 second. Yes, share. So this is the stuff I want to show you. So this is my coach in the right.
Then move. Come on, Master.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like this before. I definitely don't think it's healthy.
Go, go, go.
I don't think either, but it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. But
So back
what do
to
you think if they kicked him in the head though?
that's what I said. Like he can get kicked and punched in any part of his body, and he will be like reaction. He made a demonstration where he invited all the like national level boxers and asked them to punch him. He did a demo and he was like absolutely reactionless. I
You
don't
gotta
know
show.
how.
I don't believe it. You gotta show it to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was like back in the 1990s. I don't know if he has a record of that, but I think he has been awarded something for that particular demo. But I don't think it would work against like a guy like Francis Ngannou or something. But I have punched his body. I know something about martial arts. Like I'm not a guy that blindly believes everything. I
Yeah,
have been there. His body feels like a fully filled sandbag.
yeah. Well,
Into the groin.
that's from the conditioning that he's doing
Yeah.
over and
And
over and
he took
over.
it to another level. Like your balls, like
Mhm.
who can like withstand a kick from a taekwondo player right in your
Yeah,
groin?
I don't know, and I also can't explain
Yeah,
how
exactly.
that works.
Yeah,
That's not something I ever tried to get into.
exactly.
Obviously, when I was young, coming up in the martial arts, we saw a lot of those people. So, there's I had people I've been around that they conditioned their knuckles to a point where, my I have decent sized knuckles, not anything huge, but I've seen guys with knuckles that are like this big, each
Oh,
one, and they basically they keep striking these hard objects until they calcify, and it almost looks fake.
oh
Their
yeah.
hand is totally been changed
Hmm.
into basically a weapon. So now that guy, for example, told me he could kill someone, right?
Yeah.
He also told me he could punch a steel bag
Hmm.
and the steel bag would fly,
Hmm.
which he never could demonstrate.
Hmm.
But he would punch steel. I
Hmm.
would watch him punch steel,
Hmm.
but he's also just punching it like. And again, all these things he would say he would do. Then once we got on the mat, we started sparring.
Hmm.
He couldn't do any of it.
Hmm.
Like none of it could work. And
Really?
I'm of course, I don't expect his. I don't want to get hit by his punches.
Hmm.
he actually sparred Vince Pichel. We still have it on video.
Mm-hmm.
And because we had to wake him up, he didn't believe in MMA.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he was going to touch them and knock them, kill them, basically.
But I understand what you say. Like, I'm not saying like if I put my coach in the UFC, he would like, beat everybody. But
Right.
he has shown
There's
us something
something
that is
there.
potentially possible.
Yeah,
And
there's
if we
something
can
there.
implement that, that would be a huge gift, because like we are worried about getting punched. That is gonna, like, if we don't worry about getting punched and we just make
100%.
Terminator walk,
Yeah.
we can
Well,
just
like, here's an example of that. In MMA and in boxing, something we do, we take medicine balls. You've seen this.
Mhm.
And you hit the guy in the body
pop,
with
pop,
medicine
pop.
balls.
Yep.
Right. Over time, that gets your body used to impacts.
Mhm.
Do you notice what happens to the first time you grapple, or you see someone grapple, they've never grappled before? Someone squeezes their arms with a, sorry, I can't get in the frame.
I can see that.
They squeeze and they push
Mhm.
into here. And then what happens? The next day, they have bruises all
Okay.
along here.
Mhm.
You know this, right?
Yeah.
Their skin,
Skin
their
is
body is not hard.
not used
They-
to abrasion. Yeah.
It's not used to it.
Mhm.
So our bodies, the more we used to this, just like the knuckles,
Yeah.
the body can get used to it.
Yeah.
The part where I don't think it's probably that good, I don't want to mess with the brain.
Yeah. All the
Personally.
balls.
Of course, if you get hit in the head a lot, it will probably
Concuss.
harden your skull.
God.
But science tells us we shouldn't have our brain slosh inside of our,
That's how we get knocked out. Yeah.
yes. So it can't be, I don't think that's healthy. So when it comes to conditioning the body, my instructor for kickboxing, he would do he would have us do all of these conditioning drills. And most of these guys, obviously, they're regular guys,
Yeah. Radio dudes.
so they can't take the kicks back and forth. They also respect him, so they don't want to hit him hard
Mhm.
to a certain degree.
Mhm. Mhm.
Remember, this big guy, he did fight.
Mhm.
He weighs about 400 pounds.
Wow. Yeah. 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 The big guy. Yeah.
This guy would fight at 270, but he would take everyone's kick and go around and around and around.
Mhm.
And the point is, like, I know that that's not super impressive because they're not trying to kill him, but
Yes.
the point is, like your instructor, like, he's conditioned. He's conditioned to take damage, and it helps him a lot. Like, I've witnessed it full fighting, like sparring, like with another kickboxer, and he's taking these strikes, and none of it bothered him. You're right, leg kicks. He's getting kicked, but it doesn't bother him, even though his opponent has 40 pounds on him. And certainly that's beneficial to have, 100%. But at the same time, I think that's a piece. Like you said, it's a piece that we need. But I am much more impressed by the ability to hit and not get hit, right? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
boxing.
Like Dominic Cruz.
Yes. I think to me, that's where the skill truly is. Like, because if you just take punishment,
Yes.
your body will eventually fold. The other thing is, you can try to condition, but you get your head knocked around the right way or you get hit in the jaw.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has conditioned this that much. I mean, obviously, Mark Hunt, he's tough to knock out, right?
Yeah.
The guy's obviously got
Even Roy
crazy.
Nelson. Yeah.
Yeah, Roy Nelson. So there's something to that. But, you get punched right in the nose and you
You can
break
only
this.
take so much.
Yeah, I mean, your eye's gonna swell up no matter what, I think. But I don't know. What do I know?
That's why I just showed you. One
I
thing is
know.
to just pay him a tribute, and the second
Yes.
one is just know your opinions about that. Like, how is that possible, or is there anything that is potentially possible for martial artists, like which can be incorporated?
I think it's similar. Now, again, I don't want to play around with it with my balls
Yes.
and my dick, but
No, he says does a weird trick where he sucks his ball into the pelvic cavity or something like that. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
But okay, here's what I'll say about that. I don't know. I don't believe that he sucks his balls in. I don't maybe you never know. Maybe he has a way of strapping everything to protect it a little bit better. That I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a strap holding it up inside. I don't know. But it makes sense to me that if you do it a lot, much like my instructor with his legs and other parts of his body, shins, I've been to Thailand. Some of these guys' shins, I mean, they're so tough that they don't get what we get. We get a big monkey bump on our shins when we hit something hard. I mean, it's really, really bad and it's so painful. So
I almost limped my way back to home, after I sparred with this guy, the crazy guy, Muay Thai guy.
Yeah. So it makes sense to me that he's developed some conditioning to that degree.
Yeah.
Now I think we need to combine that with high level skill of striking, not get struck.
High level strategy plus this conditioning.
Yeah.
Have an overall.
Yeah, having the conditioning as well. Yeah. But you're right. Some portion of our training, especially if we're there for mixed martial arts, needs to be put, like, for example, I use a medicine ball, I hit my guys. Or they stand up and hold the arms up and I punch them. So I'm punching their body.
Yeah.
And getting them, even if it's light, getting them used to impacts. With gloves, I do punch light at my at the face of my student. I hit them in the face, but it's light, and you don't need that much. You just need to get over the flinch factor.
Yeah.
So you're not always flinching. So that when you get hit, your eyes. Everybody can flinch when they get hit.
Yeah.
When they get hit, their eyes do this, but it's that they open immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't go, and then you hide.
Yeah.
We have to get rid of that reaction.
It's like getting immersed into water for the first time.
Yeah. But then you have to be confident to open your eyes and everything's fine because you see the next movement.
Yeah.
So that's what I have.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach, for your time. Like, I think I took a lot of your time, but I think you have a lot to offer. The people who are watching back home in India, or my target audience, or whoever it is. So I think if you want, we can do a part 2 whenever you are free, because I have a lot more, and not even 10% has been covered so far. Because I have prepared a set of questions and nothing, I did not ask even one out of them because I got so carried into the conversation and I got dragged into a different direction.
Okay, it was natural. So
it was natural.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, sir.
Yes.
And I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
With more great stuff.
Yes. Teach me, grappling. See ya.
All right. Later.
Yeah.